Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. This feel familiar?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top of football refereeing? Every referee starts with their county FA. It's a simple training course and you can take it as soon as you hit your 14th birthday. Once you've done that, you have to go through at least 11 hours of face-to-face training. You'll then graduate as a Level 7 official, which means you can take charge of county-level games. But hold your horses, there's still a long way to go to get to the Premier League. Your next step is to spend a year each at Levels 6, 5 and 4. This covers the top of the amateur game. Only at Level 3 do you start doing Northern Counties or Isthmian League level games, for example. If you've done this all quickly, you can reach Level 2 and ref your first National League match after, I don't know, 6 years? After getting enough experience at that level, you can apply to be a referee in the EFL. There's an interview, people watching you do games, and then, if the EFL are happy, you'll be granted a Level 1 licence to ref in games in League 2 and above. Now, they don't just say on you go to the Premier League, you have to work your way up through the divisions. Only after years of hard work and refereeing on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke can you be considered to do matches in some of Europe's very best stadiums. Now, who was the youngest to reach the very top? It was actually Michael Oliver. He refed his first Premier League match in 2010 at the tender age of just 25. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, crack on. It'll only take you roughly a decade, thousands of hours of work and an incredibly thick skin. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough for the top flight. That means there's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance you'll even make it in. Obviously, referees can make mistakes, but when you think about it, having a go at them is kind of like slating a brain surgeon.
Good evening. Yes, you're tuning in to Kick-Off here on TalkSport with me, Natalie, Sawyer, Darren Lewis and Danny Murphy as well, with you until 10 o'clock this evening. Another big Premier League weekend has come and gone as Arsenal had the league cut to 5 points after they drew away at Chelsea and Manchester City beat Leeds. Liverpool end their bad run with a win away at West Ham, and Alexander Isak is finally off the mark in the Premier League. Would this be the first of many for the forward? It's a horror show for Tottenham Hotspur. 3 defeats this week, the latest a 2-1 loss at home to Fulham. And to make it worse, Thomas Frank bit back at the supporters after the game. Manchester United showed determination to come back and beat Crystal Palace, but again Oliver Glasner takes a swipe at the Palace board for a lack of investment this summer. His contract is up this season. Will he sign an extension? There were also big wins for Sunderland, Newcastle, Brighton, Aston Villa, of course the mighty Bees, who are now above Thomas Frank's Tottenham. All this and lots more to come. This is Kick-Off on TalkSport. Hello, how are you both, Danny and Darren?
Good. All good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. Another enjoyable weekend. And I think we need to just, what, been up to anything? You obviously were working.
I worked late Saturday, and then decided after getting back 4 o'clock in the morning to get up at 7:45 and play golf. Then try and stay awake through Sunday's football.
Oh, you're
after 2 pints. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the football actually Sunday. Well, I enjoyed it Saturday. There was some great games. I did... First game I did the other day was probably the best game of the weekend in many ways was Sunderland-Bournemouth.
Yeah,
What a game. Honestly.
Which we will get into, as we will do with all of the games that took place. How about you, Darren? What you got?
same. I did a bit of work for one of my other broadcasters, and then
one of my other...
I can be last, right? He works for about 100 broadcasters just like me, and he has a little chuckle at that.
It's just the way you said it.
Yeah, it was the way you said it. You did, yeah.
Right, I take that back then.
No.
But also, put up the Christmas tree at the weekend as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually, I have to say, I used to be a bit of a Grinch, but I'm into it now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm into it with
good.
the kids.
I mean, I'm all up. I haven't actually put mine up, which is, I don't know what it is about this year, but I've been a bit slack on everything. Because actually, on the 1st, as it is today, I wear a different Christmas jumper.
Really?
I've got that many. And I forgot. I completely forgot today that it was December the 1st. So
I thought you remembered.
One of my more subdued ones. No, I honestly forgot, and I'm really annoyed with myself because I promise you I do wear a different Christmas jumper every day in December.
Well, now you've got the TV. No.
I know. It's just a boring, stripy jumper. But anyway, we'll move on from that. Shall we get straight into the game at Stamford Bridge and get your thoughts on that one? Because it was certainly a physical battle that we saw. The points were shared, Chelsea and Arsenal, as that one finished 1-1. What did you make of it, Danny, that game?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the competitiveness of it, for sure. Two real quality teams, lots of very good defending, which I always like to see, players doing their jobs properly. And I thought the way Chelsea handled going down to 10 was superb. Discipline, good counters, fit there. You have to be fit. You have to be concentrated. Thought the performances of Chalobah and Reece James, two English players, would have pleased Tuchel no end. I thought they were outstanding. And I really enjoyed the battle with Saka and Cucurella, actually. It was fascinating to see how a different type of winger caused Cucurella so many problems, because he's obviously been getting plaudits, and rightly so, for how well he's been playing, but he couldn't outmuscle Saka. In fact, Saka enjoys it. He's so strong. As soon as you get too tight, he just rolls you. And he caused Cucurella all sorts of problems. Lucky to stay on, really. So that was a really intriguing battle. But overall, I think Chelsea deserves something from the game, for sure. It would have been great to see the 90 minutes go 11v11, because obviously Chelsea were in the ascendancy and we'd have seen what Arsenal were made of. But overall, I think both teams would probably wake up and think, or would have woken up on Monday morning thinking, we're happy with that.
Do you think so, Darren? Because do you think Arsenal in some ways might look at it and think a missed opportunity? Bear in mind, as Danny's pointed out, for the entirety of the second half, it was 11v10. Or is it a point at your rival?
I think it's a point at your rival, because for the first time since watching Chelsea under Maresca, I've actually thought this is a side that could compete for the title. If they could play with that intensity and ferocity and discipline, fearlessness, I think Sunday was the day that they came of age. I really do. I was impressed even before the scoring had started with the way that they approached the game. I was impressed with... It seemed to me that they were saying Arsenal were not picking up the 3 points in our watch. The last time I saw that kind of real hunger and desire was when... I know Conte's Chelsea were half decent, but it was when John Terry decided Spurs weren't going to win the title on their watch at Stamford Bridge in the year that Leicester won the league. And I just... Yeah, there was so much to like about the way that they went about their business. And like you say, Cucurella, he's had a good week, actually, because he was up against Lamal the other day, kept him quiet. Then he's done okay against Saka. Although, as you say, Saka got the best of him. But I just think all round, I wish it was 11v11. Because I think if it was, I think Chelsea would have won.
Well, I mean, there were parts in that first half, in particular when it was 11v11, where it was all Chelsea, it felt. Every time I looked up, in the sense I was doing other things at the same time, every time I looked up, Chelsea were on the attack. And I was so surprised at that, in the sense that everyone's still been saying, oh, Chelsea in this title race. Do you look at Chelsea now, Danny, and think they are serious contenders?
Well, you've got to, because of their level of performance against the other good teams. So they've been comparable. You know, they've beaten Liverpool. They've had a good draw against Arsenal. I'm not sure they've played City yet, but I'll have to check that. But their problem, and this I think you get with younger players or younger teams, is that They don't need motivating for those games. But when you saw the performance home to Palace, home to Sunderland, home to Brighton, 1 point out of those three, it's very difficult to ask a group of young players to remain that consistent for so long. Now, I said on here last time I was here, whatever day it was, in a way, it would be amazing for football if they won it. It actually could change a lot of clubs' philosophy if they win it. They're the first club ever to go with this kind of youth being their everything in terms of their recruitment. There are no senior players being bought. There are no experienced players to drop in. They are just going purely on what they feel are the best young players around, getting them all together and wanting them to grow together with a really good coach. And I, up to this point, still think that won't work. But the other part of me thinks, well, if it does, then it's got to be a catalyst for maybe a few other clubs going that way. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. But I still think Arsenal, I mean...
I do think, though, Dan, I mean, don't you think it's hard to call Arsenal with 25 games, Champions League, FA Cup, 6 months of the season to go? Yes, it's a 6-point lead, but we've seen.
No, I'm not going on the points. Leads. I agree with you. It's not the points for me. It's the level of performance they've had so far and the consistency. If you put a Sunday into context a little bit, they've had the North London derby. I know they strolled it. And then they've had a monster game against Munich. To be fair, Chelsea had one against Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
But they played
last weekend as well. They had a big game last weekend as well, Burnley. 12:30 kickoff as well after the international break. So they've had a tough week too.
But Arsenal have gone there really with, you could argue, 4 of their best players not in the 11. Gyökeres didn't start, Saliba didn't start, Gabriel didn't start, and who was the other one I was thinking of?
Havertz.
Probably not Havertz, no, because Gyökeres.
Trossard? No.
Well, he has been playing. Maybe.
Yes, but this game he didn't.
Odegaard, maybe you could say, one of the, their captain. Anyway, Chelsea still played tremendously well.
Wouldn't Chelsea say, well, hang on a minute, we didn't start with Cole Palmer?
Yeah.
In fact, he didn't play at all.
Yeah, they could. But my first point, which reinforces what I'm saying, is that the level of performance from Arsenal from now to the start of the season, they had a bad half at Sunderland and a bad half at Chelsea, really.
I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily disagree
have
with
these
you.
Extremes, brilliant performances, awful.
We've said on the show before. We've said on the show before, when we've talked about the teams that had experience, all the teams that tend to win leagues generally have experience, either at the back, in midfield, the kind of players that can actually calm people down in difficult moments, to nurse younger players through difficult times, manage games out. They've all had that experience, and Chelsea don't have that. And the reason why I don't think, even though it looks on paper as though Arsenal are nailed on for this.
Well, it doesn't, you're right. 5 points is nothing.
It's nothing. We've seen 5 points
City
the way before.
City have got Stones, Diaz, the Bernardo Silva.
And the experience of coming good in the second half of the season that we have seen time after time.
And the experience of a manager and his staff who've been there God knows how many times.
100%.
So I would say, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, yes, Chelsea could surprise us, and let's see, but I think if you finish above City, you win a league.
Okay. Well, as it stands, that looks like Arsenal, obviously, with how the table looks. But as you say, Darren, and it's still in my mind, I find it funny that we talk about a title race, we talk about a relegation race when there is so much still to come.
This is like the first circuit of Grand National, basically. There is so much. You can lead in November and get excited, but we've seen many times teams lead in November and not finish in the first two. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Arsenal because their defensive record is outstanding. And if you've got that as a platform to build on, you're in good shape. But I just think that we've seen it before, so many variables, so many things that you don't expect to happen, that happen, so many key players that suddenly are lost and then it all falls apart. It's really early.
It is very early, but at this present moment, Arsenal fans will be loving life and be hoping that they can continue this incredible start that they have made to this season. We're going to continue to talk about that game at Stamford Bridge, as we will look back on all of the games that took place over this weekend. You're tuning in to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. Good evening. This is Kick-Off on TalkSport, and you're in the company of Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis and me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until 10 o'clock this evening. Don't forget, there is a bumper week of Premier League football coming your way from tomorrow night through to Thursday, and TalkSport brings you plenty of live commentaries as well. But there is one championship fixture taking place this evening. It's Birmingham against Watford. Let's get you the team news with commentator Nigel Adderley.
The only change for Birmingham is enforced because Tomoki Iwata is suspended. He's been an ever-present so far this season, and his absence at right back will be a blow. But Bright Asai Samuel is able to come in and replace him. So the Birmingham team is Beadle in goal. It will be Asai Samuel, Neumann, Clara and Cochrane the back four. Paik and Doyle holding in midfield. Roberts, Stansfield and Gray behind Dooch in attack. And Alphonse Samsted, the third choice right back in many ways, is back on the bench as a result of Iwata's absence. One change as well for Watford. Edo Kayembe scored twice in the only away victory so far at Derby, but he's been left out. Tom Ince comes into the starting lineup. So their team is Baxter in goal, and Gakia, Caban, Pollock and Bowler the back four. Ince, Luza, Cipriano and Mama in midfield, with Dumbia and Kuramagad, the two players looking to form their attack. And it's a very, very wet and windy evening here, so conditions will be testing, but Birmingham City have been in such great form here at St Andrews, looking for 4 home victories in a row in the Championship for the first time since 2016 tonight.
Yeah, and it's on TalkSport too, and there's probably no one better to be joining Nigel for this one than a certain Troy Deeney, who played for both clubs, as both sides look to close the gap onto the playoff positions. We'll keep you updated on it here on TalkSport as well, but it's time now to bring you an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Alex Apati, good evening. How you doing?
I'm good. How are we all?
Yes, very, very well. TalkSport 2, as I was mentioning there, we've got live championship football. So Birmingham against Watford. Give us the odds for that.
Yeah, Birmingham favourites, a shade of odds on there, 4-5. Watford just over 3-1, and the draw is just under 3-1. Interesting one tonight, isn't it? A win for Birmingham puts them, I think, a point after the playoffs, and a win for Watford puts them above Birmingham. So plenty to play for. And Watford have a decent record despite being the outsiders here. I think they're unbeaten in 7 against Birmingham. They've won 6 of those. They won this fixture at St Andrews 1-0 last March. In 2024. If Watford are to win tonight, 1-0 is the most likely scoreline for them as well at 9-1. That does mean that something would have to happen at St Andrews tonight, which hasn't happened all season in the league, and that's Birmingham not scoring a goal at home. Their home and away record is so interesting. Blues, I think they're 5th in the table at home and 21st away. Luckily for them, they're the hosts tonight, and even luckier for them, Watford are 23rd in the table as far as away teams are concerned. So the history books would suggest Watford get something and maybe a win. The recent form would say a Blues win, so I'll sit on the fence, go with a draw around 3-1, or a score draw, both teams to score, share the points, is 4-1. Fence sitting at its finest there, sorry.
Okay, TalkSport 2 for that one. By the way, what's the pussycat called? I can see your pussycat behind there.
Oh my word, the 2 of them are there.
That's 2 of them. Okay. I can see one.
Yeah, there's 2. It's Dexter and Ollie.
Cute. Yeah. Oh, I can see the other one now. Sorry, I couldn't help it. As soon as I saw the cats, I was getting excited. What about anything to bring us on the Premier League after the latest match week?
I can't believe that they've stuck their nose in here.
They're stealing the show, to be honest.
They are. I should move the camera. Arsenal are still favourites to win the title. They're still odds on as well, despite dropping points and seeing City close the gap as well. So Arsenal, I think, around 8-11 now. City 11-4, so just under 3-1, and plenty will still think there's a bit of value there. That's probably about it, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure you guys will discuss more, but I mean, Chelsea gave a good account of themselves last night, but it still feels like it's going to be a 2-horse race. Chelsea are ahead of Liverpool at the moment. Chelsea 12-1, Liverpool 16-1, despite that win at the weekend. They would probably just name the top 4 there. I think they're all odds on to finish in the top 4. Manchester United next most likely team at 3-1, Newcastle 4-1, and Tottenham now 20-1 to finish in the top 4. The other end of the table, just very quickly, Wolves are 1-20. I don't know if anyone has been that short this early into a season. I saw a tweet earlier. We're 2 or 3 weeks away from Christmas, and Wolves still don't have as many points as a triangle or something. Yeah, they're already so far adrift. Burnley are 1-8 to Leeds 11-10, West Ham 11-8. I think everyone else is probably okay now. Forest aren't safe by any stretch, but they're 11-2 now, and everyone else is 10-1 or bigger.
How the West Brom fan enjoys this. It was interesting how you had to bring up Wolves in detail there. As always, we love to get your Ladisfaction magic moments of the weekend, which we'll be bringing you ours a little bit later on. But Alex, what's yours?
Few and far between for me this season, but I've got to mention West Brom winning this weekend. There's so much going on to consider here, by the way. I'll try and keep it quick. But first of all, I think it's fair to say Ryan Mason is probably on the ropes a little, and had he have lost that game, it might have been curtains for him this week. But going 2-0 down, I was at Newbury Races on Saturday. I couldn't believe what I was seeing looking at my phone. But going into the break, 2-0, 4 changes Mason made at half-time. Orne Hegbo scores 2, gets us back in the game. And then step forward, Jason Malumbi, who was sent off a week ago for 2 silly yellow cards against Coventry. A lot of fans were scratching their heads as to why he was put straight back in the starting 11. Stayed on, scored the winner. And that winner, by the way, I cannot stress, if any West Brom fans are listening, I went back this afternoon and looked. In 2.5 seasons, we have scored 3 goals at 85 minutes or later that have been meaningful enough to win a game. We never score meaningful late goals. So all things considered, it might be the most satisfying weekend of football I've had for ages. And I can't believe I'm saying that about beating Swansea at home in November. But there we are.
Hang on, but he's not still on the ropes, is he, Ryan Mason?
I don't think so, and I hope not. I hope there was. Do you know what? There was I think Alex Mowat, the captain, and Malumbi as well gave him a big cuddle at the end of the game, and we saw a bit of passion from him. And I think the fans of the players, obviously love him. So I would like to think he's got the back end for give him a season. This is like 3 months into your new job. Imagine 3 months into your first job. Someone is calling for your head. No, not for me. I like him a lot.
Thomas Frank might have something to say about that as well. Listen, Alex, thank you. Nice to chat to you, and Ollie Dexter as well. That was Alex's Ladisfaction moment. As I mentioned, we're picking our very own very shortly, but that was all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
That's right, the TalkSport Darts Trophy with Quick Fit is back for 2025. You can join H&J on Wednesday, the 10th of December from 1 p.m. as 8 TalkSport presenters go head-to-head at the Oki. And this year we're bigger and better with 2 TalkSport promoter companies managing the talent. Oh, yeah. Alan Brazil, Ali McCoist and Jeff Stelling are heading up Tipple 20 Promotions against Jim and Simon's Flight and Jordan Limited. Yeah, you've got world champion and world number 1 Luke Littler, who conducted the draw as well. And this is who you will see lining up. Just a couple of the highlights. It's Saunders against Pennant. That's a repeat of last year's final. There's also O'Hara against Cundy in what is a sports bar derby. And of course, there's a small matter of a grudge match as I take on Darren Bent for a second year in a row, having knocked him out in the first round. Plus, we'll have the voice of darts, Russ Bray, calling all of the action on the day. So join us from 1 p.m. on Wednesday, the 10th of December on TalkSport, on YouTube or via your connected TV as well. Why are neither of you involved in this?
It just clashes for me with something I've got to be doing, rather important.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
I am actually serious.
Okay. Would you have done it if you were available?
If I was available, yeah.
They need to do like a golf one, then you'd definitely be available for that.
More likely. Although I'm pretty good at darts.
Are you?
Yeah.
You should be coaching me. I'm terrible. I haven't played since last.
You beat Darren Bent.
I've had a few
Fluked it.
180s in my time.
Have you? The casual way he says it, I've had a few 180s.
Well, I grew up playing darts. My mum was captain of the pub dart team. I've talked about it before.
I haven't heard this
I played
before.
a lot of darts.
Nice. Okay.
Why did you admit that? Why didn't you just keep that quiet and then pretend you're a ringer?
That's true.
I've got dartboard at home.
And how often?
Play a lot.
Like a weekly.
More when obviously when Christmas comes and the World Championship, it's you're on there every day.
It's like Wimbledon, the tennis court.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
So no, I haven't played for a little while. Golf's my love.
Darren, by the way, no? Are you a fan of the hockey?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a dartboard at home as well.
I hear the rules have changed, though, so you're going to be...
I haven't a clue. No one's told me anything. I don't even know what time I'm meant to be there.
You get 10 minutes now per game, so you finish on a double.
Oh, I'll be here all day.
And if neither of you can finish on a double and it gets to the 10 minutes, then you've just got to hit the number like you did the first time.
3. I remember that.
Oh, you can win this.
Well, Benny's been playing a lot.
Of course he is. And I haven't, honestly, I don't play. I won't be, practicing or anything like that.
We can go and have a practice in the breaks. I'll give you some tips.
That'd be nice, that. I'd like that. But I will be useless. And to be fair, I'll be quite happy to be knocked out first round because then I can just enjoy the drinks. There you go. Danny knows best. Okay, we're going to continue to look back on what's happened over the weekend, in particular that game at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea and Arsenal played out that 1-1 draw here on Kickoff.
TalkSport's Martin Keown thinks Chelsea's ill-discipline cost them 3 points at home to Arsenal.
The back four at the end of the game, there was only one member of the regular back four still on the pitch. Calafiori had to go off because he'd had a booking. So all in all, I think Arsenal will be happy with that.
Enzo Maresca has no complaints about Caicedo's first-half red card in the 1-1 draw, while Simon Jordan says Chelsea can win the Premier League again, just not this season.
It looks to me like that Chelsea are going to be the people that are going to perhaps push Arsenal. Liverpool are going to find themselves, they're going to recover, and all of this nonsense about Liverpool will find itself getting together. Man City are not the same team as they were.
Johan Wissa's closer to making his Newcastle debut following a knee injury. Eddie Howe says Wissa's playing a full training game and will play another this week.
Everything's positive, but he will be back involved when we think he's able to contribute to the group and has a minimal chance of re-injury.
Newcastle versus Spurs is live on TalkSport tomorrow night. Meanwhile, former Spurs striker Meadows questioned the mentality of the current squad, who have just 5 points from 7 home games this season. And Meadows doesn't think Thomas Frank has any players worth watching.
With all the respect to all the players that we have, we don't have a player like Kane. We don't have a player like Robbie Keane.
Good evening, this is TalkSport and this is Kickoff this Monday night, and it is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and me, Natalie Sawyer, and we're taking you through until the sports bar. We're going to
just got some hours in.
Didn't even invite us, did he? So he's got the bug.
Hey, get off your bomb, get in there, get your practice done.
Honestly, he's meant to be my coach and he's given up on me already. We're going to continue looking back on that game at Stamford Bridge then, which was a fascinating statement, a fascinating game in the sense that it was quite physical, quite intense, and it sort of delivered, didn't it, with everything that we saw. Let's get the full-time thoughts from Mikel Arteta then. This is what he had to say post-match.
Really intense. You could sense from the beginning that every duel, every action has something on it. Two teams very willing to win, and not much football. It was a lot of restarts, a lot of free kicks, stops, a lot of yellow cards, so not a lot of fluidity. But after the sending off of Caicedo, obviously we wanted to settle the game. We didn't manage to do that. We had more yellow cards. We had 4 yellow cards. Obviously those players were constantly targeted to try to even the game in terms of numbers, and at halftime we said, okay, let's pause it now, let's now get what we have to do, very clear what the intention and how we're going to dominate the game. In the first action, long ball, gives a free kick, wide free kick, corner, consider set piece. So then the momentum shifts, and emotionally the team have to react to that. We managed to get some good spells.
Okay, so that's what Arteta had to say, suggesting how an intense game it turned out to be in this one. I know we've already focused quite a lot on Chelsea, but for Arsenal, I know you said it there earlier on, Darren, about this is a positive in the sense it's a point at a rival. But do you think there'll be any element of them thinking, there was 10 men that we played against for 45 minutes?
You as a player, you always do that after. You think, we were against 10, we should have won.
Because they did look, a few of them coming off the pitch, disappointed.
Yeah, but when you go a goal down, of which you can, of a set play, the crowd are then up, and the 10 men galvanise because you've got something to fight for. I've been on both sides, and it's funny as the 10, you feel like you're not beating us, everyone's game just goes to another level, and Chelsea deserve great credit for that. But Arsenal kept persevering. I think, as I said, when they cold light a day and they sit down and have a meeting, they'll look at it and think, damn good week, and we're still playing all right. We've got players to come back. It was funny, actually. I don't know if you noticed watching the game, and there's so much to like about the game. He's right, the intensity was amazing. 2 sets of players who are just so focused on stopping the other team, went like the desire and the work ethic was great to see. But I don't remember watching a game where I'd heard so many loud screams, players through the camera,
thank you,
going over and trying to stitch other people up.
Honestly, not since COVID.
I honestly, it was really starting to wind me up.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it happened on occasion when I played. It wasn't that long ago, but very rare. Players would go down and exaggerate because they want you to get yellow or red. But that game, it was both teams were on a mission to stitch the other players 100%. Up. So I know because one had had one sent off and they want to even it up. I get that. But, you've got family watching at home. You've got kids. That's embarrassing.
It's almost like this, from the sublime to the ridiculous, because, so many people noticed it. You've got ex-professionals noticing it. You get laymen, journalists, fans, everyone was noticing it.
Have they good?
Yeah, absolutely. And I even noticed it when I was playing. I mean, there were one or two that were genuine. The Chalobah, you could see the big bump on his face.
Yeah.
Clearly, he'd taken a whack.
Yeah. But even that, I've had whacks and I've had my cheekbone on display through an elbow, but I didn't scream like that.
You're odd, aren't
The scream is to get attention. Like if you hurt yourself at home, you don't scream.
No.
I remember cutting my finger open on a can of tuna because it wasn't the peel back,
Oh, yeah.
And I had to do it with a knife and all. Anyway, ended up chopping a load of big thing on my finger. And I looked round ready to go, there's just no one there. So you don't, because
Have you heard of a can opener? Rather than a knife?
Yeah, I did. I couldn't find it. But anyway.
There is a fantastic YouTube series in waiting here. Danny opens tin.
The point being is, screaming out as loud as they did, no, it's all put on.
Yeah, but isn't that... I mean, okay, you said this particular game, it was maybe more prevalent, but it happens all the time.
No, but we don't hear it enough. Danny's right.
But nothing
This was a
feature. Yes, exactly, more prevalent.
Yeah, and it was a feature of a really fantastic football match that on the one hand you were really impressed by the intensity, and on the other hand you're thinking, what are you doing?
It was the only negative, to be fair. Maybe we shouldn't even point it out, but it's...
No, I think you're right to point out, because I was thinking it in real time, and there were lots of people who were thinking exactly
They were all
the same.
guilty of it, yeah.
Yeah, they were both sides.
Well, in terms of disciplinary issues, obviously a lot of cards given out in this one red. Was that a red for you? Because there's still some debate over it. Yeah, both in agreement?
Yeah, just about. I thought it was... Because it was... There's... In the rules and the wording... Well, we won't go through it, it's boring, but... The speed is relevant, but the height of where you hit someone. And it was kind of on that borderline. Whereas if he'd have got him on the foot, he wouldn't have been sent off. But as it gets a bit higher and a bit higher, your chances are nil of staying on.
Yeah.
And of course, his ankle buckled a little bit as well. So in the end, it was the right decision. And it was a surprising one, really, because obviously he's a tackler and he's a very good one. But it wasn't really a necessary one. It wasn't to stop a shot or to stop him getting out. Or, it wasn't really to... I think Chalobah was 5 yards behind him anyway. It was like he'd lost his head for a little minute, which can happen. He's still a young guy, but...
I saw someone saying that maybe he'd got a bit too carried away with this talk of comparing him to Declan Rice, and he had something to prove.
Maybe, but I that comparison's silly anyway, because they're playing different roles right now.
Well, exactly.
I think it was probably more just so fired up to play well and do well in such a big game. And
but you've been a midfielder charging around in midfield. I mean, there would have been games where the high intensity games where you thought your blood's pumping a little bit too much, and you put your foot in where you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
If you're watching at home or listening on the radio, Danny's nodding here.
He's got a big smile on his face.
Only because
about it as well.
I actually kept my discipline quite well as a footballer in terms of my cards. I did get a red against United at Anfield once, though.
There you go.
Can you remember what happened? I'm sure you can.
Well, it was Jamie Carragher's fault.
How can you blame someone else?
Because I was on a yellow and I forgot. And
Jamie Carragher's fault.
I think the ball got loose through. It was like a 60-40 Dennis Irwin. It was in favour of him. And Carragher was behind me going, go on, get out, go on, whatever he was shouting, hit him, whatever.
So you've been there?
Yeah. But that I learned from that one, and he will learn from that. I never got near to getting sent off again in a big game like that.
But of course, that's their sixth red card this season.
I don't mind that, Nat. I don't mind that. No. Listen.
But surely Maresca needs to have everyone available, not always thinking.
Of course he does. Of course he does. But they're learning as a team. I think he can address some of that lack of leadership in this transfer window. Bring a couple of experienced
They won't.
older
That's
heads.
not what they're going to do.
They won't, because they're business model FC at the moment. But if they're going to do that, then they are accepting that that's going to happen more and more. Some of those red cards are things like Maresca being booked for running down the touchline for
challenge. Not all of them have been ill-disciplined.
Come on.
So I think you have to take that into consideration. I don't think it'll be an ongoing problem for Chelsea. I don't believe that narrative.
But what do you make of the job then that Maresca is doing? When you consider this is only his second season as a Premier League manager as well. Last season there were still some Chelsea fans that weren't having him. Do you think we're now starting to see the proper fruits of his labour and that he is a good coach?
I like watching Chelsea play, and that's down to him. You know, there's been games where they have struggled to break teams down, low block, and lesser teams, if you like. Chelsea fans will tell you that, but generally they go after teams and try and win, and they've got dynamic wingers, which he really encourages. I've heard him talk about how he wants his wingers to beat people and go past people, and he really is adamant on that. There is a little bit of discussion around the overplaying at times, but it's difficult to install a way of playing it on a group of players, especially when they're a young group as well, in a short space of time, and then start tweaking it and going, actually, today we're not going to do that. So I understand why he's really adamant on this is how we're going to play and this is what we're going to do. And actually, the goalkeeper's improved a lot with his distribution, and he's turning people around.
He's not making as many mistakes.
No,
either.
But they play good stuff. And generally, when you watch Chelsea play, they're a good watch. They've got loads of dynamism in the side. I like the fact that he lets Cucurella go and have a wander into midfield and get forward. And I quite like the thing he's done with James and Gusto as well at times. James in the middle and Gusto at right back. And he's done that the other way as well. So he's not, although the formation's generally predictable, you're never quite sure who he's going to play where. Like the Neto thing, he stuck Neto up top against Barca rather than wide, and he had two strikers on the bench, João Pedro and Delat. And everyone was like, what's he doing playing? But with the pace and it worked. You know, it was. He's not scared to make big decisions. I think he's done as well as he could have in the time he's had.
I actually think his weakest area is central defence. As you were talking, I was just going through the whole team. Extremely strong in that defensive midfield position. Well, obviously, both of them got that ability to go forward. The front three, very, very strong. I think Esteval, obviously, is big hope for Brazil, as well as a seriously top European talent.
Well, he lost Colwell.
Colwell he loves, but I think all of their centre backs, they're all good players without being great players, without being the leader. And every team that wins a league has a leader at the back. Ruben Diaz, Virgil van Dijk, John Terry.
Yeah.
Every team that wins a league has a leader, a colossus at the back. And I'm not sure who is that person for Chelsea. But all the other areas, like I said at the start of the show, this was the first time I looked at Chelsea and thought, there's a side potentially that could win the league. But there is that missing link. The goalkeeper's improved. The front three is really good. The wide areas, they're really good. They've got that understanding. He will tell you better than me. Football's about partnerships, and there isn't yet that partnership in central defence that you can turn around and say that's going to win them the league.
Just quickly, because we got to hit a break. This time last year, Chelsea had got off to a really good start. It was only that Christmas period where they fell away. And it was only at the end of the season that they secured fourth spot. Are we seeing Chelsea this year as title contenders?
There's
last
a big
year,
difference. Big difference.
Just to quickly say that, Maresca last year kept saying we're not in the title
race. A difference.
Yeah, so are we seeing a difference?
That's a difference.
So they are.
Because he's leaning into it this time around. Right. And he's learned from that. And this is what I'm saying about Chelsea coming of age. 12 months ago, he was new to the Premier League. He'd done well with Leicester, but he was new. I know we say it's only his second season, but he's learned his driving test and he's driving a Porsche. He's passed his driving test and he's driving a Porsche. So he's got the quality there. And last season, I just wonder if the season could have been slightly different if he'd have learnt into that. This time he's doing that. And those players now feel as though they're involved in something. And you could see that with the intensity of the game on Sunday.
All right. Well, I might ask you after the break about that, Danny. But we're also going to bring you our Ladisfaction moments of the weekend as well. Here on Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. Welcome along to kick off on TalkSport, and it is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10 this evening. Before we turn to our magic moments of the weekend, I was asking you both about Chelsea being in this title race, although I know, Darren, you and I are both sort of in that thinking of it's still very early to be talking about it. But something I just wanted to ask you, Danny, as a former player, when we were saying last season, Enzo Maresca kept saying, you know, all his press conferences, we're not in the title race, we're not in the title race. Is that something that the players take on board and go, actually, we're not? Because he's saying it so often, or can you ignore it? Even though they weren't, obviously, by the end.
I think you don't take it on board consciously and think, oh, that gives us an excuse not to play well today because he doesn't think we can win it anyway. But I don't think it's great messaging. The flip side is you say too much and then you look arrogant and you fall flat on your face. So I understood why he did it, to be honest. Generally, the players will chat with the manager privately and they'll have their own goals and ambitions and realistic conversations, irrelevant of what's being said to the... You know, they might have an agreement. They probably had a meeting where they go, look, let's play this... Let's not get carried away with ourselves. And they probably all agreed on that. So I don't think it would have too much of an effect. Now, I'm a big believer, though, in... Depending on how you deliver it, of course, but really being positive. And really pushing boundaries and pushing expectation. It's funny because managers in the past, I remember Curbs at Charlton, and we had a great spell together there. To be honest, really enjoyed it just till the end. But Curbs used to do this thing. Mark Hughes used to do it as well, funnily enough, where they get the fixture list up, and they'll do a thing of how many points.
Oh, all the games.
Well, in sections. Okay. I think it was 6 game sections or 8 game sections, maybe. Can't remember. 5 to 8 games, whatever. Might even been monthly, I can't remember. And the manager and his coaching staff, so Sparky did it, Curbs did it, I'm trying to think who else did it, and they'd put the fixtures up and put the amount of points that they'd think we'd get. And it's like, when you break that down and think of it from a leadership perspective, when one of them says none...
I was about to say, was there ever a none?
Yeah, the odd one.
Oh my God.
Generally, like the big tough games away from home, you might put 1. Okay. But it was a few because they want to try and make it realistic. They don't know, 0 or whatever. And you kind of look at me. We might as well not go that one. My thing was, surely you just go 3-3-3-3-3.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's different, but there's different mindsets, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, they were quite realistic, I suppose, but whether that's a great approach.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's move on to our magic moments of the weekend, shall we? All thanks to Ladisfaction from Ladbrokes.
Magic moments of the weekend on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
All right, who wants to go first? Go on.
I'll go first. I was going to do Harry Wilson because I did love that speed of thought and the technique to bend that ball in while Vicario was talking to someone in the crowd. But I'm going to go with Bukayo Saka. The goal, obviously, Timber scores it, but Saka's ability, refusal... Sorry, was Marino. It Marino? Sorry. Timber, thank you.
Timber last week, wasn't it?
Timber last week, Marino this week. But I think Saka's ability and his refusal to let Cucurella get on top of him kind of speaks to what we've been discussing on the show so far, his quality. Good wingers will have a go, great wingers will go past and create the opportunity, and Saka is elite level. And the way that he managed to get that opportunity, he actually got past 2 players, not 1, got the ball in, the delivery was absolutely fantastic, and it's begging to be put into the net, which it was.
I think it's a great point. We talked about it earlier, didn't we? But great players in big moments and big games stand up and be counted. And there was a lot of chat about Cucurella and Yamal in the week, and Saka must have thought about it and been ready. Because every time the ball went into Saka, he kept it.
Yeah.
He was like, no, not today, my friend.
Yeah.
And it was an elite performance from Saka. Elite. Put himself... Well, he's already there, but it's like, if you ever thought, you know, is he now gone from a younger kind of form player? So reliable. big games all the time.
There was that game at the World Cup against France where he was fantastic, and
when Kane missed the pen,
and you thought he deserves to be on that stage. We all came to see Mbappe. We all left talking about Saka, but obviously, as we all know, great players do it on a consistent basis, and that's what we've become used to from Saka.
The biggest compliment you can give Saka is that I don't think there's anybody I know in football, and not even ex-footballers, but who I work with, if you were picking an England 11 to start the World Cup or World Cup final or first, whatever, with the amount of brilliant players we've got, everyone would have him.
100%. 100%.
Everyone.
100%.
Yeah. Go on, give us your moment.
Well, there's so many amazing goals this weekend, but I'm not going with an amazing goal. I'm going with an amazing moment, which is Isak's first goal. I'm going with the Liverpool thing because I think it's huge for him. It really is a pivotal moment because his performance was bang average. He wasn't great. A few loose touches, couple of poor shots. He had one effort first half. The keeper made a good save, but he wasn't involved that much. And okay, Liverpool were being a bit more pragmatic, rightly so, by the way, to get a clean sheet. But the goal it was a classy moment, great finish. But that, in terms of the weight lifted for him, will be huge. Instead of overthinking every chance now and probably bringing himself down when he goes home and overthinking it, now he can just breathe, play, enjoy, relax, show your class, show your quality. I still think he's got a bit of way to go physically. He doesn't look quite at his best, but that was a great moment for him.
We will talk more about that victory as well a little bit later on. I'm quickly going to just take you to the Norwegian League, where Viking won the title after 34 years, dethroning Bodo Glimt on the final day of the season.
Read about that.
I think 2018 they were playing in the second tier of Norwegian football, so they won their first title since 1991. So just as a story, I just wanted to highlight that one because you might not have heard it. Those were our magic moments of the weekend that brought us Ladisfaction, even all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleware.org.
Magic moments of the weekend on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleware.org.
Country Norway.
We are...
Sorry, I thought we were...
No, we're not off yet, but you can tell us about how lovely Norway is. We are going to talk about the game at the Etihad in just a few minutes after Manchester City kept up with Arsenal.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too, but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem, the balls kept on breaking on impact with the racket. The call of new balls please seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point, the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing, they came up with the colour optic yellow and decided every ball be coated in that colour from there on in. And there you have it. Tennis balls are yellow, all because Sir David Attenborough wanted to watch Wimbledon from the comfort of his own front room. You could say the ITF aced it.
Good evening. This is Kickoff on TalkSport. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me this Monday evening, as always, it's Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis, who is currently challenged by his new phone. It seems. Far too many features, you say?
Well, yeah, iPhone 17, other phones are available. But
I'd go back to the first years.
The Nokia?
Yeah.
Oh, 3210.
Just being able to text. That's
I know.
Yeah,
and the thing is,
I love that.
the way the keyboard was, you didn't have
hard
to
work, wasn't it?
No, I loved it. I didn't even have to look at it.
No, you didn't. You get used to it, but compared to now.
Oh, now, yes. Well, yeah, I know what you mean. But it's good old days of Snake. Who didn't like Snake?
I think you just, as soon as you put cameras on phones,
you slip and slow.
The world changed. Yeah, I know.
Don't we sound old?
I was about to say. This is the view of the old fogies in the studio. Let's talk about Manchester City, shall we? And well, they need to Phil Foden to rescue them against Leeds in the game at the Etihad. They were 2-0 up before Leeds staged a fight back, and then there was that 90th minute winner from Foden that ensured that with their win and Arsenal's point at Chelsea yesterday, Pep Guardiola's side now are 5 points off top spot. But as I say, 2-0 up, it looked all pretty much like they were coasting to victory in some sense, in the sense of the scoreline. Yet, was it complacency set in? How did they allow Leeds to get back into it to make it a bit?
Well, Leeds changed their system in the second half to actually
to up top, wasn't it?
Yeah, to the 3-5-2, and decided that they were going to have a go, and it paid off for them because Foden said afterwards, "Listen, we were a bit shell shocked for a bit. He's the one who scored in the first minute and the last minute to wrap the good points up. Also a key thing for me, we talked about leadership in the middle of the park. No Rodri. Now, they have been winning games without Rodri. But I think in a tight game like this, you miss his leadership and his experience and his ability just to get players to put their foot on the ball and not get overwhelmed and overrun. But I think what the point says, and I think as far as City are concerned, this is vital, is that they're within range and they'll come out of that game happy that they were able to overwhelm Leeds and stay with Arsenal in their sights.
But at the end of the day, Danny, a team like City shouldn't find themselves in a situation where they are allowing a team back into it, albeit that Daniel Farke changed things around after half-time. They should be winning these games comfortably, shouldn't they? They should be seeing them out, even if it's 2-0. No,
Yeah, well,
apart from
yes against Leeds for sure, and also yes because that's what we've seen them do for so many years. I think if you look at it in terms of isolation, bizarre mistake really, two mistakes from Nunez to let them back in. 2-1, which changes and shifts momentum, gives confidence to Leeds.
Can I just challenge you a little? I know heresy and all of that, but, this is the elite level of football. If you look around Europe, Union Berlin, the only side before Arsenal last week to take points off Bayern Munich. Monaco beat PSG the other day. PSG got all the talent, all the money, all the good experience. Monaco go and pull it off. This is the top level of English football. Right? Well, there is a complacency, even the way we're talking about Leeds as though they're just... go 2-0 up. You know better than me.
Oh yeah,
you got to earn that right to establish that dominance over the opposition.
The Premier League is loved because of the unpredictability and the fact that teams can go and win anywhere. But a promoted side generally would be cannon fodder for City in years gone by. So there's an expectation from us just to see them. And when they go 2-0 up, the expectation, it's like, turn it off basically. It's just going to be 4 or 5. So there's credit to Leeds. I'm not saying they weren't great second half. They were. They had a real go. They found some belief. The system helped. The subs helped. Calvert-Lewin come on and give them a presence. But awful mistakes. I mean, even the Gvardiol pen, he didn't even need to tackle him. He was there. Bizarre. I think a little bit of anxiety maybe from the week they'd had. They'd lost at Newcastle. They'd lost against Leverkusen. And all of a sudden, it's a bit panicky. But it didn't really matter in the end because they won. It would have obviously mattered if they hadn't managed to get that goal at the end. And now it's a case of which team... They've got that many good players. Which team does he settle on for the big games to get to get that momentum and get them on a good run like we know they're capable? Because when you looked at the bench, it was a strange one because Cherki, who's been the supplier for Haaland for a good few weeks now, has been on the bench. Strange one. Obviously, they're missing Rodri, which is any team would miss him, of course. But there doesn't seem to be a set team he plays in the Prem or one in the Championship. It's like mix and matching all the time. I never think that's conducive. He's done it before, I suppose, but maybe he hasn't got the same quality that he had when he had De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva and all those players. But they're still a threat because they've got Haaland. They're winning games even though he's not scored in his last 2. They'll be there or thereabouts. They will because they've just got so much quality.
I suppose, Daniel Farke can take away some positives from this.
Absolutely.
Fight back was tremendous. I did see a few Leeds fans question, why did he not start with 2 up top when it caused City problems?
Well, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. I mean, it's if you're losing a game 2-0, you're always going to get people say after why don't you start with a different 11. And
if you'd stay with the system, they say, why didn't he ever go?
Exactly.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
The reality is for Leeds, they're on a hell of a bad run. And the questions are now over, above his head from some of the fans, section of Leeds fans. And that's rightly so, and you lose every week. But the last 2 performances I've seen, and I can only go off them because I saw both, 90 minutes in both, the Villa game and that game on Saturday would give me hope if I was watching them as a manager and a fan. That's a group of players playing for him. They are certainly at it. They're certainly giving it a go. And they've got done by an unbelievable Rodgers free kick last week. Bit of magic. 2-1. And an unbelievable finish from Foden in an injury time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, can someone else come in and get more out of those players? I'm not too sure.
I totally agree, Dan. And you know, this idea that, oh, well, if he doesn't take points from Chelsea and Liverpool, he's done. I mean, come on, Chelsea and Liverpool, they're not beating Chelsea and Liverpool. We're the best will in the world. They're both better resource sides. And the truth is that if you come into the Premier League and you aren't able to attract the quality that keeps you consistent and keeps you competitive against these teams that have been around forever, that have upgraded every single season that they've been in the top division, of course you're going to lose.
Just to pull you up, though, you've just said there, without thinking about it, of course they're not going to beat Chelsea.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's exactly my point.
Actually, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Leeds get something against Chelsea after Chelsea have just taken Arsenal to the limits, beaten Barcelona, and then all of a sudden they have to go to Ellen Road a couple of days after the Lord Mayor's show, and Leeds are bang at it with those crowd behind them and they get a draw or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the Premier League.
There was another talking point at this game as well. This is what Daniel Farke had to say when he questioned Manchester City's tactics when Donnarumma went down injured, sparking an in-game team talk.
It's within the rules. It's smart. If it's in the sense of fair play, if it should be like this, I keep it to myself. I leave it with the authorities to find solutions for it. It's within the rules. I asked the fourth official at this point, do you want to do something against it? No. Our hands are tied. We can't do anything. We know that this happens, and if we don't educate our players in football what to do in terms of fair play, sportsmanship, whatever, and you just try to bend the rules somehow just to your advantage, and you can even do a fake injury in order to do additional team talk, I think it's nothing what I personally like anyhow. But if it's within the rules, I can't complain about it.
Yeah, so Daniel Farke obviously not happy with the tactics of Donnarumma and of Manchester City, if you like. Where do you both stand? I mean, Darren, you were listening in and you were just saying the whole time, I agree completely.
Well, it's not a Donnarumma problem. It's not a City problem. It's a Premier League problem in terms of there are a number of clubs who are doing this. It's not just a Premier League problem.
In some shape.
Exactly. It's not just a Premier League problem. I've seen teams on international, in the international qualifiers doing it. There are coaches on the sidelines who you can see basically giving players the nod to go down, either to stop the momentum of a side that might be chasing an equaliser, stop the momentum of a side that looks as though they might break the deadlock and go ahead.
Yeah, but it's keepers they has to go down for a specific reason, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Because the keeper doesn't have to go off.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not down to 10. Whereas if you ask a player to do it and he goes down and then he has treatment, he has to go off for 30 seconds, 60, so whatever it is, 30, I think.
And the conversation around that is that should there be a rule that says that if a goalkeeper goes down, because you can't take him off, you should have to take off an outfield player.
Absolutely.
Instead.
It's the simplest, quickest. It'll be fixed, done.
Mm.
Then it's the same for everyone on the pitch. There is this chat around, well, how can the referee, and this is fair, how can you know if the goalkeeper's not genuinely injured?
Yeah.
Well, blow your whistle, stop it, no problem. Don't take that risk. But if he's genuinely injured, he's going to go off and the sub-keeper's going to come on anyway.
See, I was talking to a couple of referee friends of mine who were saying our hands are tied because, as you said,
they can't.
There's nothing we can do about it. We're not medical practitioners. We can't assess the extent of an injury. We simply have to adhere to the laws of the game.
Well, did you see Sean Dyche's response today?
Go on, tell us.
So Sean Dyche, and I completely agree with him, he was like, are we really worrying about this? When there's so much else to talk, there's so many other problems. And he basically said, look, we've got that many players trying to cheat, dive, con refs, feign injury. Let's deal with that first.
But this, and that's what I'm saying. Every team will do something that is not.
No, but he's right, Sean. That is actually a bigger problem.
But hold on.
No, but I haven't said my bit.
Good little debate.
What I want to say is, though, every throw-in is not taken from the moment the ball goes out of play, for example. Most players do move a ball when there's a free kick. They'll move it. it happens with every team. So as you said earlier on, it's systemic even.
You know what? Do you remember Tony did the free kick?
Tony with Forest, absolutely.
Do you know VAR saw that?
I didn't know that VAR.
They couldn't intervene.
Yeah, but then Forest put out a big statement about it, how they were unhappy about it. And one of their defenders spotted it as well and tried to get them to move the wall when they didn't move the wall.
Well, he should have gone in.
But Nat, then the question then becomes, what are we as football prepared to accept? In football, prepared to accept.
I completely agree.
Because we can say, what's the point? As Sean says, there are so many other things. Well, why don't we start with one thing and then address all the things? Because we have to decide what kind of sport we want to be and what kind of fans we want to be.
Exactly. I was about to say, we're all guilty as fans. We want our players to put in those tactical fouls to disrupt the opposition.
Tactical fouls, fine, because it's a foul, you get a yellow.
You don't always get a yellow.
But it's a bad enough foul, you will.
Well, yeah, but not always.
But the thing is, and just to finish, because I know we've got a break, the really interesting thing with this, it's actually great that it's happened and been highlighted, because when City lose a game in a few weeks' time against somebody, and they're dominating, and then the keeper goes down, and then they have a tactical plan, they all come over and have a drink, listen to the manager. What can Pep say?
No, it's true.
0.
Well, there we go. That's how we end that one.
It is, isn't it?
No, you're right, of course.
You can't have one way and not the other.
Yeah. But you could argue that with Daniel Farke and his team, if their keeper went.
If I was Farke, I wouldn't have said a word.
Yeah.
Because it goes around and comes around.
This is the problem, unfortunately, and as I say, we're all kind of guilty.
I just think one day we've got to have a big old thrash it all out, because I think that you
could fix it like that. They could bring the rule in tomorrow.
There are so many things, though, to your point, though, Danny, about the fact that other areas, it's wider than just the goalkeepers going down, the outfield players going down. It is trying to pinch a few yards on a throw in. I saw there was, I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Anthony Taylor, who. Anthony Taylor.
Well, this is it, yeah.
He gave the throw in to the opposite side. I can't remember who the player was. He was telling them to get back to where he should have been taking the throw. The player wouldn't go back, so he gave the throw the other way around to the other team. And it's those small things. When you start doing stuff like that and you're consistent, then you start to send the right messages out. But we're not consistent enough about it.
As you say, this is a debate we could have more on, because it's fascinating. Look, we're going to turn our attentions to what happened in North London between Tottenham and Fulham, where it seems Thomas Frank is losing more and more support from Tottenham fans. You're tuning in to Kick Off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kickoff here on TalkSport. It is Darren Lewis, Danny Murphy and me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until the sports bar at 10 o'clock. Let's talk about the trouble that my beloved Thomas Frank is in. Another loss at home, this time at home to Fulham, which means they have lost 3 in a week at Tottenham. It was Kenny Tete and I'm trying to fix my earpiece as I'm doing this, and Harry Wilson that got the early goals for Fulham. Mohamed Kudus did get one back for Tottenham, but it wasn't enough to turn that game around. Within that game, Vicario, the goalkeeper for Tottenham, was booed because of the costly mistake he had made in the game that led to Harry Wilson's goal.
Laughing at you doing that. Why don't you leave it till the break?
Because it fell out as we came back.
You don't need it. You've got me and Daz.
That's all I need in my life. You're quite right.
Lucky woman.
Tell me about it. Many would swap places than me. Before we get your thoughts on that game, I want to hear from Thomas Frank, because afterwards he did speak about the fans booing Vicario during the game. This is what he had to say as he spoke to the media ahead of their match with Newcastle live on TalkSport tomorrow. And as I say, this was the thoughts he had on the fans booing within a game.
Just like I'm allowed my opinion wherever I want. So I think it's fair. I'm just saying what I think. I'm like, can't say it enough. We have some fantastic fans. We're nothing without the fans. We need them, every aspect. And they are very much allowed to be disappointed, no problem. I'm just saying, when we play a match at home, it is not as helpful as it is when they can see they're driving the team forward, for example. And of course, it's up to us to do everything we can to perform. So it's just going hand in hand. But the beautiful thing about football and life is never straightforward.
Okay, so that was Thomas Frank sort of doubling down on what he said after the game as well about the fans booing his players. Booing your own team, Darren, do you think that's acceptable?
I'm never a fan of it. I remember a few years back, I sat down with Emmanuel Abui, who famously was booed by Arsenal fans to the point of being in tears. And he opened up on how much that destroyed him at the time, and the lasting impact that it had on him. I think this is a very different set of circumstances. So I think the situation, the fans aren't necessarily targeting Vicario, and I've got a lot of Tottenham fans. I covered Tottenham as a club for many years, so I understand what they're going through at the moment. They are frustrated. They pay some of the highest ticket prices in Europe. Their team hasn't won in front of their own fans. I think it's only 3 Premier League wins in this entire calendar year.
That's right.
They are true Spurs fans who continue to commit their financial as well as their emotional support to the club, but the club are not repaying them. And they are unhappy with the level of performance. They are unhappy with the level of consistency. They are unhappy with being patronised and told that they're not true Spurs fans if they don't clap and say how much they are behind the team without pointing out that they're not getting what they expect from a side that invests that amount of money and time in players, and there's always a reset, and there's always something, everyone's trying to tell fans that they've got to get behind a team, but they're saying, what do we have to get behind? And what we saw at the weekend came after the surrender against Chelsea. What we saw at the weekend from international footballers who should know better was a level of performance that you couldn't offer up to any side really in the top six and say, yeah, you've got to get behind that. I feel a lot of sympathy for Spurs fans because they're being told they're not real fans if they stomach what they've been stomaching so far, and that's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was ill-advised from him because you have to put it into context. The home form's been dreadful. They had a bad week, bad couple of games. Chelsea smashed them, Arsenal smashed them. They actually started the game trying to be on the front foot. The first goal was a counter because they went so gung-go. I mean, they can't win. It's like you get first counter and they score, and then the keeper makes a howler. There was some ironic cheers to Vicario, I think, the next time he came. Call it booze, whatever you want. The simple fact is, footballers have had it for years and they'll always have it. The fans are allowed to do it, and you can't. You've got to change them. You've got to change the tone in the stadium by how you play. Vicario's been poor this season. He's been poor for a while. Poor on set plays and crosses. Yeah, he's a decent shot stopper, but that's his job. He's not that comfortable with his feet. He's a bit wishy-washy, like dithers, and doesn't look that confident. The manager should have took him out the firing line a month ago, 2 months ago.
100%.
So part of the problem, really, is the manager keeping him in, because I've not seen a keeper there who deserves to keep his place after the first couple of months of the season, in my opinion. Now, there is a flip side where a new manager in a new club defending his players, keeping them on board, which is more important at the moment, really, than the fans, because if the players turn, you are in a world of trouble. So I get it, but I think he's backtracked a little bit. Today I listened to him and he delivered it better. He delivered it better because he's an articulate guy and I like him a lot. I spoke on Match of the Day at the weekend about the game and what I'm seeing with Tottenham, and I truly believe this. And he might say different, of course. I don't think he's set yet on his best team and how he's going to play, because I think he's looking at some of the players. He's got some injuries, of course, but he's looking at some of the players, some he doesn't know enough about, and he's probably working with them every day, seeing their good and bad things. He's giving players a try. The forward line's changing a lot. The midfield changes. I think he doesn't know yet exactly how he's going to play with this squad and who's going to be in the team, the best 11. And that's a real problem, because those partnerships you were talking about earlier don't seem to have formed.
No.
The only one really you could, couple. I think Van der Ven's been decent level this season. He's been the main defender, as always, consistent. And Kudus is the one who always seems to still get on the ball and try and make things happen and beats people and takes people on. And
you see the problem with that, though, Dan, is that if you take those two out the side, what do you have? Porro's going on and telling players not to go and clap fans. Porro's level of performance of the weekend was shocking. Romero, he didn't play at the weekend. He plays decent for Argentina, but he's a liability in a Spurs shirt. I think you could go around that team and pick holes in a lot of that squad, that team. And what you've just said there sums up the trouble with Tottenham. Arsenal know what they're doing. Liverpool, we get to Liverpool, they're good. It's a very different set of circumstances with Liverpool, but clearly last season they knew what they were doing. City proven to know what they're doing. Chelsea have a very clear idea about what they're doing. Spurs go from one drama crisis to the next. And if you're going to sack the guy, and I'm not going to say that they should have kept. They're not going to. No. I don't think they're going to sack him. I'm saying if you're going to sack a guy who's won a Europa League and got you into the Champions League, the guy that you bring in has to have a clear idea about what he's doing.
Well, I think he does.
To your point, you're saying that he doesn't know what his best team is yet.
Yeah, yet I don't think he does. I think he'll have an idea on what he wants to do. And then early in the season, they did all right away from home, some decent performances.
Yeah, but you're in the top six. You're aspiring to be with the big kahunas. You can't do all right. You've got to be consistent.
The squad he's got is good enough to do better. The one thing I've seen with Thomas Frank, and you'll know probably better than me, over the last couple of years now at Brentford, he played with the players he had a certain way, and then he evolved the team to play decent football, mixed it up. But his last year or two at Brentford, the football was good. They weren't always pragmatic and defensive, trying to stay in games. No, that wasn't them. You watched Brentford last season. It was a good watch, playing good stuff.
Dan, I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, listen, I know when he started at Bromby.
What I'm saying is he'll get there if you give him time.
100%. When he was at Bromby, he had a bad start. When he was at Brentford, he had a bad start. You know, he has had bad starts. The problem is that when you're talking about Spurs fans booing, it's because everyone wants them to continue to be patient at a club that is systematically underachieving.
Yeah, that's true.
And they are paying huge amounts of money in ticket prices for a club that's systematically underachieving. Then he's come along and at the start, and, you know, I'm a Thomas Frank fan. I've been in his company. He's fantastic, erudite. I'm just articulating what Spurs fans are saying, and they're saying that at the start of the season they were setting up to contain teams very much as Brentford would have done, and they're saying we're Tottenham, we should be coming out and expressing ourselves, but then they do that and then they're leaving the back door open. And on the right side, I mentioned Porro, so much of what destroyed them at the weekend came down that right side.
Well, he's just got to ride it. He's got to get on with it. It's a big boy, big club, big wages. You've got to be resilient as a manager. You've got to take the flak, crack on the training ground.
I think the messaging, sorry, no, I know you've got to move on. The messaging has to change. I think that they perhaps have to have a little chat about how they address this, because the chaps, Matt Law's done a terrific piece with Sam Wallace in the Telegraph at the weekend about how the disconnect between the players and the fans. And there is a disconnect. It's very easy to do. And that messaging has to change so that you're not deriding people who put money they can barely afford into following the team home and away and then get told they're not real fans. You're not going to win them over that way.
Well, it doesn't get much easier for Tottenham. They head to Newcastle tomorrow night. It's live on TalkSport as well.
And Brentford, innit?
Yeah.
And then Brentford at home on Saturday in a 3:00 kickoff. And then as for Fulham, who we didn't really get to talk too much about, oh dear.
First away win, wasn't it?
First away win, and it might be quite important to hear what Bernd Leno had to say, because he's had some revealing thoughts on the future of Marco Silva. They host Manchester City, and that game is on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night as well. And as I mentioned, TalkSport 2, I quickly just mentioned Birmingham on 1-0 up against Watford, having scored in the 31st minute, which means they close in on the playoff positions as things stand. We'll continue to talk more from yesterday's football action as Alexander Isak finally scored his first Premier League goal for Liverpool. kick-off on TalkSport, and it is Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis and Natalie Sawyer with you. Well, then your mic's not on, so they didn't hear you. So no, we're not going to say that, thankfully. I won't have a bad word said he had stomach strength. No, you weren't saying anything bad about him, in all fairness. But we're going to move on because Liverpool finally got back that winning feeling in the Premier League as they beat West Ham by 2-0 on Sunday. And Alexander Isak scored his first Premier League goal for Liverpool as well. I suppose the big talking point really, though, has to be about Mo Salah and the fact that he didn't play a part in this game, was dropped for the first time in a league game since April 2024. So, Danny, just a quick word on that before we really talk about the performance. Do you think this is the beginning of an end in some ways, that Arne Slot has to try out a Liverpool side without Salah, or it's just because of form, basically?
Well, his form's not been at his amazing levels, of course. So when you're losing that many games, nearly every manager I've ever played at under any level will eventually get to the point where you pick a team that is defensively sound and doesn't carry anyone. Mm. And when you play Salah, you carry him defensively because of everything else he gives you. So it's probably 3 weeks too late. Mm-hmm. But the proof was in the pudding. It was basically a 4-4-1-1. 4-2-3, 4-4-1-1, Verts in behind Isak. They narrowed up the two wide boys. Szoboszlai gravitates towards the central anyway. Gakpo did his job. They looked harder to play against. They had Gomez staying at right back. Bam, you're staying there. Kirkes didn't bomb too often. It was a good shape. West Ham weren't particularly good. Fair, that's obvious. Didn't test them too, but they looked solid. And they looked like they had a good shape about them. They weren't too gongo on the press. They weren't all over the place. It was a nice, solid performance with a few moments of magic to win the game. Mm-hmm. They probably think that would be the same for the next game. It would seem silly to change that when you've just got that first win. I think in terms of Salah, if you want to compete again, if you want to become really competitive again with the big teams, you've got to get confidence up in everyone before Salah comes back in and then starts putting his magic dust on the team. Right now, you've got to be thinking clean sheets, not losing games. Mm. That's the priority. If you win on the road, great. But if you don't get beat, fine. You're just building blocks. Doesn't matter that you won the league last year. Doesn't matter the Liverpool Football Club. It's building blocks. And each game goes by where you don't lose and you're not conceding many. All of a sudden, you can start sprinkling the little magic dust back in. Mm. And it's just little by little, step by step. And they've actually got a good week in terms of fixtures. Well, we've said that before, but on paper. The biggest thing for me, I thought Verts had his best game.
Yes.
Just play. I know I'm a bit biased, but watching players like him, he's just thinking ahead all the time. You think he's going to get crunched and he'll pop it. Then he's got time and he'll do a little turn and he's playing
Well, it was how he was always looking over his shoulder, looking where he could go next. He looked really energised and confident player. In that.
He looked stronger. Did you see the thing he was talking about? He's put on a couple of kilos, been in the gym. He looked a bit stronger, to be fair. Mm. The only problem is you have to be careful when you try and put on a bit of muscle because you lose a bit of sharpness. It's a delicate balance, that one. But he looked more confident. He looked like, and considering he's had that injury and I'm not trained that much, he looked sharp. Big plus that for Liverpool. And of course, the biggest plus is Isak getting the goal.
Mm. The other thing, and you already mentioned it, but to have Szoboszlai playing in that more advanced role, not as a right back that he's had to be used at in this part of the season, that's what you want to see. You want to see him playing more forward than as a defender.
It's a bit of a myth, really, because he hasn't played at right back that much, and a couple of the games he did play right back, they won. He's played a couple of times in games they've lost, and he's also played in his favourite role as a 10 when they've lost. So people are hiding behind that a little bit. There has been a problem at right back, but that's not why Liverpool were losing games. This was a team ill-disciplined and easy to play against, not just because of... But yes, Szoboszlai further up the pitch is much better, whether it's on the right or whether it's a 10. The only thing with him on the right is he has to be a bit more disciplined in his position. So he can't go chasing centre-backs down when you're playing on the right. You can when you're a 10. But that's fine. He's capable of doing that. I just think at the moment It's about the team, not the individuals. And Klopp. Slaughter's got to not worry about upsetting anybody, whoever he leaves out. If he has to leave McAllister out and put Jones in, if he has to put Kirkes out and get Robbo in, whoever, new signing, last year's players, it doesn't matter. Best team for the job on the day. Simple as that. Get those building blocks back so Liverpool... And do you know what's mad about the Premier League in a minute? They've lost how many games? And they win the first
6
one.
in the league.
Now what are they? 6?
They're 8th.
7, yeah, 8.
3 points off 4th.
3 points off 4th after that run. It's incredible, isn't it?
It's bizarre how this league is turning out. Just
and if they win both this week, Sunderland and Leeds...
Leeds, that's right.
If they get 6 points out, all of a sudden they're going to be in the top 4.
Well, relying on other results as well. Probably. Is that the bias there coming through?
I'd say if they win both, they'll be in the top 4.
Okay. But it was an important victory for Liverpool, like you say. And it's their 7th victory this season. It's kind of win or bust for them. It's either a win or... They haven't drawn.
They're the only team not to draw.
Only team to have not picked up a point.
I mean, we can't do it all over again because we've done it many times, but I still think that this season it's a pass. It's a write-off because of Jota. And I think it's really... I keep leaning on it, referring back to, because I almost feel it's a conversation nobody really wants to have. And I think it's quite wider than football, because I think certainly us as men, we don't talk about vulnerability. And I think that in some respects, I feel Liverpool and Slot and the players, they're afraid to talk about it because people are going to say it's an excuse, when really what happened in the summer, think about it, it's seismic. You think about a bereavement you might have had, and some days you're at it and you can function, you can do stuff on autopilot, and other days you can't get out of bed and you can't put one foot in front of the other. So there is, and you think about the new players that came in, if they come into a confident side, you pick up on that confidence and you're flying straight away. If you come into a side that is shell-shocked as they were, then obviously it's hard for you to do, even if you don't know him, it's hard for you suddenly to go in and do your business as you would normally do. So there will be good days, but I've seen people say now that they've won, hopefully that Jota stuff will stop. It won't stop. Them winning, the 3 points are almost irrelevant in some respects. What those men in their 20s and early 30s are going through, nobody can put a price on. And I think it could be months before they are, hopefully they're getting the emotional support that they need. But you know better than me, Dan, a lot of players spend more time with their teammates than they do with their families. So all of us really have to have an important conversation about that and not be afraid to actually embrace it. It's not a thing, it's the thing. And everything else factors into it.
Just very quickly, get your thoughts on Lucas Paquetá and his red card. He obviously came out on social media, didn't he, yesterday? He said this about it. He said, it's ridiculous to have your life and career affected for 2 years without any psychological support from the Federation. Perhaps this ridiculous behaviour is just a reflection of everything I've had to endure, and it seems having to continue enduring. He says, I'm sorry if I'm not perfect.
No, I'm not having that. I understand he's been through a tough time. I get it. His football's probably suffered a little bit, and he's probably had many a sleepless night. I get that as well. Not easy for him. But that yesterday was nothing to do with that. That's just petulance at its highest level. That's an inability to control your emotion when you're playing in a team. The only one thing I'd say about it, because he just kept going and going and going. The ref told him, his teammates told him, blah, blah. And how big a fan I am of Jarrod Bowen. He's the captain. He had a chance to get him out of there, but he let him carry on. And I was thinking, He's gone. Like, you've got to get hold of him. But he let him carry on. It was a complete petulant, idiotic thing to do, and he's using what's gone on to deflect from that moment, which is not... Take it on the chin. Take it. He did, to be fair, in one of the statements, he did say, I think he said it's no excuse for my expulsion or whatever his wording was. Your team's 1-0 down. You got a chance to get back in, and you just got a yellow card, and you decide to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. No excuse. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. In Portuguese, he said it doesn't justify my expulsion, and for that I apologise to the fans and to my teammates.
Well, if it doesn't justify your expulsion, why are you bringing it up?
And I feel sorry for him, because the big elephant in the room is that the manner of that gave rise to a conversation connected with what the whole thing had been about in the first place, which was very unfair for him, because he hasn't been found guilty of any wrongdoing. But he has affected the perception of himself with his conduct in that moment, as you say. And if it is the case that he's struggling with that, again, you know, why isn't he getting that support for that? Well, where is
He
the
could have reached out to the PFA, I suppose, but they're not particularly great.
The club could have.
Well, I think West Ham have since sort of suggested that they're going to help him more. But we will see what happens with that for sure. You're tuning in to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
Step up to the Oki and win on TalkSport.
We're closing in on the TalkSport Darts Presenter Trophy 2025 now in its third year, and we've got 8 of TalkSport's biggest names going head-to-head ahead of the PDC World Darts Championship kickoff. And this year, you and a mate could be right there with us. You'll be only members of the public allowed in on Wednesday, the 10th of December in London. 2 seats, 2 insider passes, a true money-can't-buy experience for the ultimate TalkSport fan. The very next day, you'll also then be heading to the opening day at the PDC World Darts Championship. Plus, we'll sort 2 nights hotel stay and a massive £2,500 in cash. So for your chance to win, indeed, that'd be nice for Christmas. Text WIN even, to 83338. So that's text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2 plus standard network rate, of course, or you can call on 0343 423 9761. That is 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 4 p.m. this Thursday, and that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 and over, UK excluding Northern Ireland. So for your chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338 now. And this is a network promotion. Full T's and C's can be found at talksport.com.
Have they put any more digits in it? Variable numbers.
Yeah, just put something in and you might get
777 there, or
no,
double 4.
No, that's when I read it. I thought that's not memorable. But hopefully, listen, if you didn't hear it, you can go back on catch up and you'll be able to.
That was the type of phone number I used to get from girls on a night out. Try and remember it in a phone box the next day.
Realising they've given you about 15 digits.
Yeah, that didn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's move on, shall we, and talk about Aston Villa's resurgence. They are flying high now after their difficult start to the season. They are fourth, level on points with Chelsea, which means they're 6 points off Arsenal. And their latest victory came at home to Wolves. But in all fairness, Wolves tested them. Wasn't as comfortable as you might think. Just a 1-0 win in the end, Danny.
Yeah, it's fractions sometimes, isn't it? That offside before the goal that Wolves got. You know, they'll feel like the world's against them in a minute. But Villa, I tipped them for top 4 beginning of the season. Yes, they got good players, but I did it purely seeing what the manager had already done with them. He's so good at getting the best out of the players he's got. He's got a system he sticks to. He loves it. The players are on board with it. They've got a decent squad. I wouldn't say it's, that strong in depth, but they've got a really good 14, 15. And as long as he doesn't have a really horrendous run of injuries, I fancy them to stay where they are. They've got a real togetherness about them. They can dig in. They play out from the back so well, Villa. He's really got them working. He's worked really hard to get them doing that. They're very patient with what they do, and they've got some really good players. They're a difficult side to play against, and ultimately, it just shows you, doesn't it, when he come in and how quickly he got them to where he did, and what he's done with them since. How important a good coach is,
100%,
and a good tactical plan. Sometimes people say it's all about the players. I get that. To a degree, if you've got the best players, of course, it makes life easier, but good coaching and a good tactical plan. I mean, how many of those Villa players haven't improved under him?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And I think last season I probably went too far when I suggested, do you remember, they were challenged for the title and then they fell apart from that moment.
Recall that, yeah.
That was one to forget.
I think it was just one of the, you're trying to be a bit different.
Yeah, probably. And Adrian encourages.
He does, yeah.
But this, listen, even at the start of this season, in all seriousness, when they were going through their difficult moment, we both said they'll be fine. They were suffering the hangover from missing out on the Champions League. Some bad refereeing decisions really cost them at the back end of last season. But their best signing has been Unai Emery. And if I tell you that Ollie Watkins has scored only once this season, it shows that they're not relying on him and his goals.
No.
Other players, he's encouraged other players to step up, take responsibility. Daniel Marlin's been fantastic in the last few games. They've scored a high proportion of goals from outside the box. Wonder how long they can keep doing that. But it's just that, even on the defensive side now, they're improving quite markedly. They've won it.
Onana was a big plus getting him back.
Big,
I know he hasn't played every game recently, but a couple of months ago he got back in the team and coincided with their
rise back up the table. They've won 11 out of their 13 games in all competitions now. The consistency is back, and that is as good as it was last season. And Villa Park has now become one of the hardest places to go in the Premier League.
Just one small thing, though. I am really surprised knowing how good a pro
I know
good
you're
player.
going to go with this one because I was going to ask about Harvey Elliott.
Yeah, he's. I think there's a bit more to this. Because although he's got a decent squad, Harvey Elliott should have played more minutes and would have been value because he scores and makes goals. It's a really strange one how he's been completely omitted because I know he's a good trainer. I know he's a good pro, and I also know Emery's spoken about his attitude being exemplary. He's not criticised him in that respect. He's used the excuse a couple of times of he's got to learn how I want to play, and he He doesn't see him as a wide player, sees him as a 10. At Liverpool, he played wide quite a few times, etc. I know there's this rule now as well that the obligation to buy only kicks in with, I think it's 5 before Christmas and 5 games after? Or five before New Year and 5 after?
Well, he wasn't even on the bench for this one.
He hasn't been for a couple of weeks.
But all of us are agreed that Emery's a fantastic manager. I think about his Villarreal sides.
Yeah, you're going to get the odd.
Players he didn't even want, but he made it work. If he was able to field Elliott, I think he would do, and I think you're right. It's probably contractual as to the reason.
Well, I don't know exactly, but it seems to be, if it's purely on because they have had games where they've needed an injection of something, and he's not even been on the bench. And it's not as if the new signing like Gessan's been pulling up trees, is it?
Just a quick word on Wolves. Like I mentioned, they did show
bit of fight
and promise in some ways under Rob Edwards. Well, I was going to come to that because we've obviously said it still feels very early to be talking about all the sort of angles.
Nobody's
of the
ever
Premier
done
League.
it from this far back after this many games.
Okay.
And they just don't have the defensive stability to be able to do it.
They don't score enough goals.
They don't score enough goals.
7 goals scored, 28 conceded.
And why is it? It's partly because of the players, but mostly because of the decision to sell the defensive stability that they had. They get offers they can't refuse, and they don't replace the players that they sell with comparable quality. So it's a recipe for relegation. And with other teams far more consistent and able to do the things they can't, they're going to go down.
Okay. We will move on and we will continue, as I said, to look back on more of the results. And next we'll focus on the game at Selhurst Park, where Manchester United came from behind to beat Crystal Palace.
Fancied having a beer in the stands while watching your team at the Emirates? Well, this season you actually can, and not just there. You can do it at Anfield, Goodison Park, Stamford Bridge and Old Trafford too. But hold on, I hear you cry. Isn't drinking alcohol in the stands at Premier League games illegal? You're right, for the men's game it still is, but the Women's Super League is doing something different. And here's how we got there. Back in the 1980s, football had a serious image problem. The sport was plagued by violence, pitch invasions and beer-fuelled chaos. From fan riots at the 1980 Scottish Cup final to the Heysel disaster years later, things were unsafe and the consequences were disastrous. Then in 1985, Margaret Thatcher's government stepped in. They introduced the Sporting Events Control of Alcohol Act, banning alcohol in view of the pitch across England and Wales. Since then, many fans and clubs have called for the law to be relaxed, especially since other sports don't face the same restrictions. If you're popping down to watch the Red Roses roar at Twickenham, feel free to grab a pint on the way to your seat. Wandering down to Lord's to catch some boundary bashing? Fill your boots with G&Ts. But if you are hoping to cheers your club's promotion to the Premier League with a Prosecco in hand from pitchside, sorry, it'll have to be tea or Bovril. In 2021, it looked like things might finally change. The government commissioned the Crouch Report, a fan-led review into football governance. One recommendation was to allow League Two and National League clubs to lift the alcohol ban to boost matchday revenue. But nothing came of it. Authorities still weren't convinced that fans could be trusted. And then in January 2025, something did change. The Women's Championship, now called the WSL 2, launched a trial allowing fans to drink in the stands. The reasoning? Well, fans at women's matches tend to behave differently. Less aggression, more family-friendly vibes. Now, the women's game is raising the bar, literally. Select WSL and WSL2 stadiums are allowing fans to drink alcohol in view of the pitch. It's been a landmark move showing growing trust in fans and recognising that women's football is building its own culture. So could the men's game be the next to leave the 1980s behind? Well, maybe, if fans can prove they can handle a pint without pitching it at someone. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Until then, it's Bovril all around. Cheers to that.
Good evening, this is Kickoff. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me this Monday night it is Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis, and we've been looking back on yet again another eventful Premier League weekend. And before we start talking about what happened in that game between Crystal Palace and Manchester United, it would be wrong of us not actually to just mention the sad news that emerged over the weekend in the passing of Billy Bonds. And Darren, the word legend gets bandied about a heck of a lot, doesn't it, these days? But he is certainly a West Ham legend, without a doubt.
It's Mr. West Ham.
Yeah.
He is probably the most recognisable West Ham figure, bar Bobby Moore. And I think as far as he is concerned, he played, he managed, and he represented the club with distinction. And he's up there with more in terms of setting the barometer for what is expected in terms of achievement, in terms of the way that you embody the spirit and the values of the club. And the tributes to him were terrific, led by Jared Bowen. And I loved his sort of holding of the shirt and bringing it, laying it out in front of the fans on Sunday ahead of the game against Liverpool. Fantastic player, which goes without saying anyway. And you only have to hear some of the tributes that have been paid to him by some of the greats of the game to understand the esteem that he was held in. When I started as a young reporter back in the year 1999, and you'd see him about the training ground in Chadwell Heath, you know, and you could see the reverence he was held in by everyone he came into contact with, and even when he sort of put his head around the door as well. Fantastic player, fantastic man, massively missed.
Yeah. Passed away aged 79, but of course the club's record appearance maker, I think 799, led them to 2 FA Cups as well. And yeah, someone that embodied that West Ham spirit without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what happened at Selhurst Park, shall we? As Manchester United beat Crystal Palace by 2-1 in a game that they came from behind to do so as well. First time they actually won at Crystal Palace since 2020 as well. Oliver Glasner, some really interesting thoughts from him, which we'll come to a little bit later on, about the need of, they should have recruited better really in the summer, and it feels maybe that it's now taking its toll with their European exploits as well on that squad depth. But Manchester United, Xerxes and Mount scoring their goals in this one. Interestingly, there was talk of Ruben Amorim pacing up and down the mix zone at half time. He clearly had to think about what he was going to say to his players as his side were trailing 1-0 at the break. And whatever he said to them certainly was enough to inspire them in that second half, especially Xerxes to score, Danny.
Well, I mean, he got lucky with a goal. It was a keeper mistake. He should never score from there, but it's good for him and his confidence. United have been many times this season hot and cold in a game. You know, good spells in a game, good half, bad half, and this inconsistency. But when you break it down, all you really think about is, after a horrible home defeat against 10 men, is bouncing back by any way means. And they did it at a tough place. So when you look at now, and we talk about statistics and numbers, 1 loss in 7, that's good form in this. In Premier League football, that's good form. So they have turned a little corner. Have they turned a corner enough for them to be competitive and be in the top 4 shout? I don't think so, because they still look vulnerable. I didn't see the game, one of the games I didn't see, but I know that Palace had a lot of chances first half, and United were pretty poor, I heard.
Yeah.
But the reality is, United and their fans, I think some of them already do realise where they're at the minute. They're not at the top table anymore at the moment in terms of competing. So they've got to just be progressing and be in games and winning games and giving them something to at least appreciate and enjoy watching. And apart from the Everton game, in recent months, they've done much better. So that was a massive win for Amorim, because the narrative would have changed if they'd lost to 10 on the Monday, then gone to Palace and lost again. So this week's another big week for him. But overall, I think you can say that, you know, they're better than they were for sure last season. They do need Cunha and Šeško back in the team ASAP, because it gives them real presence high up the pitch and just makes them so much harder to play against. I was at the game Monday night and they were lacklustre. They really were. But yeah, it's the same thing with Man United, isn't it? We're still kind of in that position where we think, can they kick on? When are they going to kick on? And I just think at the minute, be realistic with it. Not losing every week's a good thing. Progressing, being somewhere in that top 8, top 9 is progression from last season.
Yeah, and listen, I can't hate on that. I mean, listen, you started off by saying that they were winners and you have to give them the credit for winning. You have to. I'm not going to lie. I'll be real. Yeah, resilience. And they held on to win the game. I didn't think they'd win the game. I think if Palace had not had a European game in midweek, I don't think United would have won the game. You could see them running on empty after half-time. And the reason why Glasner had a go at the board after the match was because he was frustrated not to win the game.
We can hear from Glasner, but you're right. After every European night, they haven't won a single game at Crystal Palace. But this is what Oliver Glasner had to say, highlighting that they should have recruited better when speaking to TalkSport.
It's easy to find an excuse, and I think if it happens at the end, we could, yes, maybe, but straight after halftime, I don't know if it's being fatigue. Yes, it's the first time many of our players are facing this rhythm. And just have to say, because this group of players, these players giving everything every single day and working so hard to be fresh, I think we missed it in the summer to back this group. We should have added 1 or 2 more players to the squad. We knew it, we were talking about it, we just didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, he also elsewhere said about that we're still in a very good position, but the chance to play an even better season we threw away in the summer. I mean, you can't argue with that.
It's hard to argue with that, and there is a significance about those remarks as well, because they are trying to tie him to a new deal.
Yeah,
he's not signing.
He's not signing that. I mean, Danny will tell you all about why. But
Don't you think he'd have signed it by now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
The only thing I'd say is I like him. He's articulate, humble most of the time. The way I hadn't heard the interview there. I've just read the narrative. It looks like he'd been whinging about not getting players in the summer. I understand that to a degree, but he actually said it in the right way. He even said we conceded early in the second half. Maybe that's not fatigue. Look, he's got every right, really, to say the squad has to play every game because they don't have strength in depth. That's fine. The flip side I'd say to that, and the point I'm getting to, is that he knew that. He could have walked. Not whining, but bringing it up now, it's kind of after the horse was bolted, isn't it? It's it's only going to put pressure on the owners from the fans because they're hearing him say it and they know he's right. And actually,
he did flag it up in the summer as well. He did say it was an issue, like Marco Silva at Fulham. But I
never understand that. I never ever get it. And Marco Silva got a lot of respect for him as well. If it's that big a deal, don't manage him.
It's very hard to walk away, though, isn't it?
Well, not if you think you're going to be fighting with one hand behind your back. Now, Glasner might have thought, you know what, this squad's good enough for me to still do okay, and I've got a year left, so I'll do the right thing. Fair enough, I get it. But mostly it's money, isn't it? It's like you don't walk because you don't want to walk away and then not get paid.
But do you not think what Natalie just said there? He's got a year left. He's thinking, well, what's the point? I'm not going to sign anyway, but let's see what I can do this season.
So
I've got into Europe. Okay.
It's not offending me. I don't care that much.
I mean, what I do think is that Palace aspire to so much, and the chairman and the manager, listen, they could have thrown him overboard last summer when he had one Premier League win in the first 5 months of the season, and they didn't. They stuck by him.
Yeah, true.
They stuck by him big time, so you have to give them huge credit for that because he's delivered an FA Cup and a Community Shield off the back of that, and he's got them into Europe. So their faith in him has yielded the position that they find themselves in. But on the flip side, I think he's right to say if you do aspire to the things you aspire to, if you do want to get into Europa Leagues, then you can't do it with the squad that we've got. And rather than it being interpreted as finger pointing, I think it's quite instructive. Everybody, needs to do better.
Yeah, but the only thing I'm saying is we all know he wasn't backed.
Yes.
He needed a better squad. Okay? So, and God forbid, I mean, I know they got demoted and they should have been in the Europa League because that's even tougher, those games. So they would have been tested even more. So why say it is my point. It's...
Well, I think that he might be thinking to himself, the spotlight's on me because of what you just said, Nat. It's not one in the Premier League after any of the 4 Europa Conference League games that he's played so far this season. And he's actually failed to beat sides you'd expect him to beat in those matches.
But it's also impacting, and I know we've got to go to a break, but it's also impacting the players. And there's suggestions that Mateta is stalling on a contract now. Now, that obviously could be something completely different, but it also could be that someone like Mateta is looking at the project and thinking, well, this is not going to be an easy project.
For Palace, because Glasner could manage Spurs, he could manage Man United. He is a guy who plays that system Man United would play far better than Amorim plays at the moment. I think I saw his Frankfurt sides. They were well organised. They were superb. They beat West Ham in the semi-final on the way to winning the Europa League and getting into the Champions League. This is a guy with a serious body of work. And I think as far as Palace are concerned, it would take an extraordinary January for him to turn things around and say, I'll stay.
Yeah. Okay. We will... I'm sure bring you any more on that as and when it happens, if he decides to sign a new contract at Crystal Palace. And when that window opens, we'll be first with all the news as well. You're tuning in to Kick Off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleware.org. This is Kickoff. This is TalkSport. You're in the company of Danny Murphy, Darren Lewis, and me, Natalie Sawyer. And this Saturday, Brits Shabazz Massoud and Peter McGrail headline in Monaco for the EBU European title with a stacked undercard featuring Pat McCormack and Johnny Fisher. You can watch it all live this Saturday only on DAZN.
Boxing update on TalkSport with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Over on TalkSport 2 right now, there is live championship football, and it's all looking good for Birmingham. And they now... Okay, well, it was. Why don't you just tell me what happened then, Danny?
2-1.
61st minute.
Watford have just got themselves back into it. Game on, that's what we like. Watford, as I say, getting back into it then, but Birmingham were leading 2-0, Damari Gray getting their second just before the break. But as you say, Watford now have pulled a goal back. But as it stands in the table, if it stays like this, or if Birmingham go on to score more, it will mean that Birmingham are up to 7th, just a point outside the all-important top 6. But as you say, it is game on. Tune into TalkSport 2 right now if you so wish to hear that one. Should we talk about what happened at the G-Tech?
Dan, should me and you just read the papers and let her...
Well, no. I mean, what I will say, if you were there for the first 80 minutes, you would have questioned your reasons for being there because it was a terrible game. Terrible game.
Well, I think I saw most of the game. I was watching Bournemouth, Sunderland, and I've got to give Burnley some credit.
Go on then.
Fighting for their lives,
Yeah.
you know. Brentford really good at home. Arguably got better players on paper. And they dug in, Burnley, and they actually had a couple of chances. And I thought Brentford were a little bit flat, expecting a little bit more. And as the game wore on, Brentford's quality came through. Okay, you know, the penalty helps when you get a decision, but the quality high up the pitch that Brentford have got is probably underrated at the moment compared to a lot of other teams. When you think of the influence Damsgaard's having, he doesn't really get talked about enough. I know we're talking about Thiago because he's got all the goals, and rightly so. He's, after that bad injury, he's come back full of confidence. I described him as unique at the weekend because he's a bit old school, but for a big guy who puts himself about and knocks people about, his touch is good, and he's a tidy finisher. And the wide boys are obviously talented. You know, they're quick and cause all sorts of problems. I think Ouattara's been a hell of a signing. You know, to replace a legend that Mbeumo was, and people not be talking about him, tells you everything, really. So the quality high up the pitch is what won them the game ultimately. And I just think it's going to be one of those places, when you look at it, it's one of those on the fixture list. Brentford away, oh God, got to be at it, you know. It's going to be tough.
I think you're bang on. And I think, in a way, I worry a little bit for you because Thiago in particular... starting to look at another one of those ones that you might have to see if you can nail down to a long-term contract sometime soon. He's only
getting
just
rid of
got
your
there.
players already now.
Well, if you think about Thiago, he's only failed to score in 5 of the 14 games that he's played for you so far. He scored against Newcastle, Liverpool, Man United, Aston Villa,
It's 11 and 13 games he scored.
It's a terrific run, and he's only 24, so he's really only getting his feet under the table in English football in general.
Henderson was great again.
Yeah.
Henderson was fantastic, but everyone's looking for a striker, somebody who hits the ground running that quickly.
Yeah, but you're right about Jordan Henderson once again. I mean, his through ball to Ouattara for that third goal was superb. And he has just been someone that, as I said before, but we talked about this a few weeks ago, where I was saying he has to play the full 90 minutes because he's just so influential. Well, we're now seeing that.
He's a really clever footballer in terms of he knows what he's good at and what he's not good at. He's a good talker and a good organiser, and he knows how to slow games down and just get everybody focused.
Was that game management, experience that he brings?
But also, to be fair to him, and it shouldn't faze him really, because he's been captain of Liverpool, which is a massive honour and a responsibility that he grew into. The reality is, I think he had to take the place of Brentford's best player last year. Norgard, the captain, every time I watched him, he was the best player on the pitch.
Well, really?
You know, he had this wonderful... We haven't seen him at Arsenal.
No.
I mean, we might if they get a couple of injuries in midfield, and I wouldn't worry for Arsenal fans if he was to go in, because he's a lovely footballer. He does his defending. he had those leadership qualities, and Jordan's had to take his place, which were big shoes to fill, and he did it seamlessly, and he's been a big reason why the front players are able to express themselves, because he just sits in there, and I don't know who was with him at the week. It wasn't Yarmulke, was it? It was Jensen.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what we were saying earlier on in the show about experience in those sides that achieve things in the Premier League. You can get to a certain point, but you start to fall away if you haven't got people, not even just to do what Henderson does on the pitch, but even in the dressing room. Calm head people down when feet start, people start getting carried away with themselves. Keep feet on the floor, set standards in training as well as the way they conduct themselves around the club. Jordan's fantastic for that, and that's why he's in the England squad.
The other one is Collins. There's maybe less chat about him because he's Irish or whatever. He's not.
Well, he's the Brentford and Republic of Ireland captain.
Yeah, but he's also been talked about with other clubs as well.
Which is funny because actually last season he was exceptional. This season he's had it's not been
has he not?
No, not as good, but listen, he's still great.
I think he's a better footballer than people give him credit for.
Oh, no, he is.
Because, they talk about his aerial presence and his defensive, but he can play.
He can play out, absolutely he can.
Collins is gone. Thiago's gone.
It's only a matter of time Damsgaard's going to go. Sure.
Henderson will stay, I think.
He can play every position, he'll be fine.
He hasn't scored against Villa. He scored against Forest. Bournemouth was the one I was thinking of, because obviously they were playing well at the time, and he was their only defeat in 4 games.
There will be some who are negative about Thiago because a few of those goals are penalties, we should say, and also some of them.
5.
Okay, I didn't actually know the number, but there you go. 5 of the 11 are penalties, and also some of the goals. You say he's got a good touch, but sometimes they look a bit messy, shall we say? But my point is, he's in the right place. He knows where to be.
Well, it's like the I remember Van Nistelrooy used to get compared unfavourably to the likes of York and Cole because he'd score scruffy goals, 6-yard goals. I mean, there was more to him than that, but the perception of him was that goals win you games.
Yeah.
Goals keep you in the league. Goal scorers are worth their weight in gold in the elite level of. Well, at any level of football. And that's what he does. And they've had to wait a long time for him, but he's turned up now and he's doing the business. After you've lost Mbeumo, after you've lost Wissa, after you've lost Tony, you've got a goal scorer. I don't think you can deride the quality of the finishes at all.
No, I think it's fair to say some of his finishing the more powerful, robust finishes rather than delicate. But that doesn't really matter. The thing with him, which is great, because he's scoring at the minute, and he will have a dry spell, every forward does, but he contributes. He runs behind, he fights people, he wins headers, he makes space for others because he's such a physical presence. So it's not like if he doesn't score, he's not contributing. With some strikers, they're not scoring. You don't see them.
Yeah. Not the easiest game for Brentford this week. They head to Arsenal on Wednesday, which is live on TalkSport before they then head to Tottenham on Saturday. So 2 North London trips for the Bees to make. As for Burnley, they host Palace on Wednesday as well. Okay, we are...
Do you only go to the home games, Nat?
I'm actually going to Arsenal.
Are you?
Yeah.
What, in the Brentford end?
In the away end.
Woo!
I know. Can't wait.
I want to. So where are your loyalties? Thomas Frank?
Oh no, Bees every time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's always nice stuff about Thomas Frank.
On Saturday, I want us to do them. No, I'm joking.
No, you're a Brentford fan. Why?
Of course, I want us to win, but I don't want it to be. I don't want to.
You don't want to thrash them.
Oh no, I do.
Oh, yeah.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Because we can't win away really. We've only won one away.
And that was at West Ham. You're entitled to say that.
Absolutely. Will we do them? I don't know. I want us.
Actually,
I'd like us actually to do Arsenal, but I'm not sure we'll be able to do that. But we will see. That's on Wednesday. And as I say, you'll be able to find out on TalkSport. Okay, more of our review of the weekend coming up here on Kickoff.
Step up to the Oki and win on TalkSport.
Whoa there! We're closing in the TalkSport Darts Presenter Trophy 2025. Now it's in its third year. We have 8 of TalkSport's biggest names going head-to-head ahead of the PDC World Darts Championship kickoff. And this year, you and a mate could be right there. You fan yourselves. Honestly, some things that we say in the break cannot be broadcastable. You'll be the only members of the public allowed in on Wednesday, the 10th of December in London. If you are watching on our streaming services, you'll see the boys fanning themselves. 2 seats, 2 insider passes, a true money can't buy experience for the ultimate TalkSport fan. The very next day, you'll also both be heading to the opening day at the PDC World Darts Championship. Plus, we'll sort 2 nights hotel stay and a massive £2,500 in cash, which would be lovely for Christmas. For your chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338. You might want to have a pen and paper handy for the phone number. Texts do cost £2 plus your standard network rate, or you can call this number 0343 423 9761. That's 0343 423 9761. Lines close 4 p.m. Thursday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. It's 18 and over, UK excluding Northern Ireland. So a reminder, for your chance to win, you can text the word WIN to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Are you out there, Darren? Compose yourself. Great. Let's get back on to more of the football. There's so many more games we haven't talked about. What about that comeback for Sunderland then against Bournemouth, Danny? That was mightily impressive.
It was instigated by Lafayette. He was outstanding, but it was a bizarre game because obviously we've seen Sunderland be really resolute, quite pragmatic at times, really good defensively and countering. Maybe they felt, because they went to a back four, maybe they felt they'd go after Bournemouth do the same. And in the first 20 minutes, although Bournemouth, I think they were 2 up after, I can't remember, 20, 25
15 minutes.
15. But it could have been 3-3. So Bournemouth, as they do, they were winning the ball back, vroom, just going at them, throwing men in the box, making chances. And Sunderland would win it back. Vroom. It was like the last 10 minutes of an FA Cup semi-final. And it didn't stop. It was relentless. And they got 2-0, wonder goal from Tyler Adams. Brilliant finish. I'm sure you've seen it, the long-distance one. But as soon as Sunderland got the penalty, which was a little bit harsh, but as soon as Sunderland got that, the belief grew, fans were with them. But even in the second half, I mean, great winner from Brobby, who keeps coming on and causing chaos.
But your mate Lafay was
he was really good.
Your mate?
No, he was. I did a piece on him but
no, you're bang on. I mean, I think his willingness to put himself in do the dirty work as well as, because he's a guy with a good touch, bit of flair, a lot of creativity.
He's a flair player,
yeah. But he was willing to really help out when the chips were down, as well as do stuff.
Well, he's played under the manager before, so he knows him. But Bournemouth, to be fair, will feel our dumb. I mean, Tavernier smashed the crossbar, keeper made a good save, they missed a chance. Didn't really deserve to lose the game, if I'm honest.
I think they're just going through one of those. They're going for a dip. They were never going to be able to maintain the form that they started the season off forever. And it's about how he kind of nurses them through this period. I think they will come through it. The quality's too good. He's too good as well. But they're just going for a moment.
They won't change. So if you support Bournemouth, you're on this roller coaster and you're not getting off. They just go home and away. As soon as they win the ball back, they are going. And they leave themselves wide open. So, I mean, if you think of the opening game, was it Anfield? 2-0, 2-2, 4-2, could have been 4-4. They just don't commit. It's great to watch. It's energetic. It's high tempo. And they keep doing it. And then occasionally, of course, they'll maybe protect the lead. I don't know. I haven't watched every last 20 minutes of Bournemouth's games. But generally, they're going at you. High intensity, and we're going to pleasure the crowd. We're going to try and play the right way. The players enjoy it, but on the odd day, they're going to get goals against, and you can't have the best of both.
No,
unless you've got the best players in the world.
Is there also something to be said, because Antonio Iraola himself mentioned this, about when you're 2-0 up and playing well, you want to finish it, but it was too early for us to go 2-0 up. Is there something to be said about that?
I'm not. I'm not really a fan of that. You go to and you manage the game.
Right.
You do.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think there's you have to feel it in games. I would suggest 2-0 away from home. The problem was with it, if you'd seen the game, you'd understand where it's coming from. I'm with you, I agree. 2-0, you kind of go, right, let's get to half time. But because Sunderland were at them, when Bournemouth were winning the ball back, there was spaces to go into. It's not like, oh, we'll keep it because they've got everyone behind the ball. They were like, okay, we'll go and score again. And it just, sometimes you can't, even though your brain in the game might be saying, I'm sure some of the Bournemouth players are like, this is ridiculous, we're 2-0 up. But the game dictates the way you kind of play. But, yeah, there is an argument to say they should have managed it a bit better. They'll feel like, I don't know if you saw the penalty, it was soft, really soft.
And then they had a goal disallowed, didn't they, offside? Evan Nilsson, if he hadn't have touched it, it looked like it was going in. And that would have been given had he not touched it. But that'll be frustrating.
Silly boy.
Because I think that would have put them 3-2 up as well.
I think with Sunderland, what's really interesting is there's always a side, or often a side, that comes up from the Championship and they defy all the odds. Sheffield United did it, of course. Brentford did it. And sorry, I was getting there. I remember when Ipswich did it when I was a young reporter in the early noughties under George Burley. And it's really what Sunderland do from here. You know, do they back him? I know they spent a few quid in the summer, around about 143 million.
I don't know if they'll be able to.
Well, that's...
But they don't need to because the squad's strong. The problem they've got at the minute, they're up, they're done. They're not. Nobody's ever been relegated. No. Points after 13 games. The problem they've got is they've got the most players, I think, in the Premier League going to AFCON.
7. They've got 7 players.
And first teamers.
And FIFA have said that they can hold on to players until around about December
the 15th, which means they'd all be available to take on Newcastle.
Yeah, which is that's a big game that they do want to win, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think after that, as Danny's saying...
Yeah, that might be where they have a little...
Yeah.
Drop.
Yes. Well, let's talk about Newcastle, shall we? Because they beat Everton 4-1 at Hill Dickinson Stadium to earn their first away win of the season. And this was a game, I think, in particular, where Newcastle's fullbacks were just unplayable.
Did you watch Match of the Day?
I actually watched the game.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, I did a piece on him.
Oh, right. No, look, I thought Lewis Hall.
I thought you were just setting me up.
Oh, no, okay. Rewind. Yes, I did. Tell us more.
No, they... I mean, they started well, all of them. Everton was a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show, Old Trafford, and didn't quite come out the traps. But the fullbacks, they're both really good players, as we know. Both enjoy going forward. And they've actually only started 3 games together this season. And they haven't lost in any of them. But it was really strange. Well, not strange. It was good to watch. Is that Livramento was initially the one who was bombed, coming down the right side, but he kept going into like central areas, but high up as well.
Yeah.
Now sometimes he does it by running with that great powerful running ability he's got, and sometimes he just went and stood in there. It was a real problem for Everton midfielders because I don't think they were expecting it because they won't have watched much of Newcastle with him and Hall playing because they haven't played together. So the midfielders are occupied with their midfielders. Jack's looking, thinking, should I go in there? Well, and all of a sudden they kept going to him. And then when they kind of sorted that out a little bit, they were already a couple down. I know Pickford made a mistake, didn't he, on one of the goals, the second goal, I think it was. So that didn't help. Crowd got flat. Newcastle's tails got up. But then Hall started bombing down the left side. And when he gets going, he's a terrific runner as well. Got great feet. So all of a sudden, you've got these fullbacks occupying, and Ndiaye and Grealish, who are Everton's two of their best players. They're so busy defending, they're not causing any problem going the other way. So all of a sudden, Newcastle now, who'd only scored 3 on the road the whole season, have got this creativity in wide areas. And, I mean, everything went for them and Everton were poor, but that'll give them the world. I mean... That type of win on the road creates such a... Especially, I don't think they'd won away from home.
No, it's their first Premier League away win.
So that just takes that monkey off your back and just releases you and then you can just go and play and breathe a little bit. But keeping those two fit changes the dynamic of that team.
Do you think then, Lewis Hall and, well, for both really, that they've both got a chance of getting into Tuchel's squad?
Livramento, definitely. Yeah. I mean, Tuchel's talked about him in glowing terms because he can play both sides. Lewis Hall did make, I think, his England debut last season, I think he did. And he's more than capable. I think a lot with Lewis Hall will depend on a couple of things. One, him staying fit and playing to this level, which will put him in the window of Tuchel. And two, how many minutes Lewis Skelly's going to get.
Who do you think's got more chance of going?
I think if Lewis Skelly gets the minutes, he'll go.
But it's looking unlikely at this moment with Calafiori.
Well, he brought him on half-time and he played against...
He set up the goal straight away for
Didn't he play against Munich? Or did Calafiori play? Anyway, he played a European game. Atletico Madrid, he played great. So we'll see as the season goes on.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, two terrific players.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a problem at left back for a while, and now we've got
options.
Options, yeah.
A quick word on Brighton, who have they gone a bit unnoticed this season? Not many people are talking about.
It's been a mixed bag, haven't they? Been a mixed bag.
But they're up to 5th.
They seem to play well against the better teams, and they've struggled.
And I think Forest have run out of steam as well. They had a couple of decent results in their previous 2 games, and I mean they were undone by lapses of concentration at centre half. I mean, they were good finishes, but I think as far as Sean Dyche is concerned, he'll be disappointed to have lost against quite an inconsistent Brighton side, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of their goals really came about through De Kuiper being unmarked in the box, and then Morato gave, well, I don't know what...
The other thing for Forest as well is number of games, because I know they didn't, I don't think they played midweek, but when you're playing in Europe...
No, they did play. Malmo. I was there for TalkSport.
Yes, you were. I heard you. Magnificent.
So memorable.
It's been a long week. I've been working like a dog. Yeah, so similarly, we talked about Palace. You know, Forest are playing in Europa League.
Yeah, but...
I know they won and made a few changes.
I was going to say, they do have a bigger squad, it feels.
They do. And they've got
summer
more
spend.
But you're still prepping for a game, travelling to a game, or prepping on the day of a home game. And even if you're not playing as a first, like you're being rested, you might be coming off the bench, still got to do the work. You're still mental, you know, another game, prep might be needed. You're not just relaxing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the lads were on the bench who came in from
when you got to Europa League final with Fulham, was that as it was? Could you rotate Roy Hodgson?
We did in the quarters and semis, yeah. So the Premier League game in between the quarters and the semis, we did, yeah. Changed about 8 or 9.
And so, did you win the games in between? Because the players that didn't play midweek?
Probably not. But you know what? We'd built up enough points to have the luxury to do it.
Sure.
Whereas Forest aren't in that position at the moment.
No, they are 16th. What are they? Just a point clear of the bottom 3 as things stand. This a very busy week of Premier League football coming your way with... 10 games, of course, from Tuesday to Thursday. TalkSport bringing you a whole host of games, I should say. So we're going to look ahead to that next. You're tuning in to kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
This is the Premier League. This is TalkSport, and it's about to heat up again. And they bent it in with Wilson! It's 2-0!
Across the face of goal, Erling Haaland rifles it home.
Semenyo getting to the byline, now pulling it back. Oh, how has he squeezed that in?
We've never had a great record at Bournemouth, so something we need to go there and change.
Left foot stands on the cross, Joe Linton!
What we've seen for them at St James's Park have been very outstanding.
There's the full-time whistle, and listen to those boos. Tottenham Hotspur fall to their fourth home league defeat.
Great ball, Marino, 2-0.
Welbeck! And he hits the back of the net.
Lofts the cross in, Marlon with a header, and it's in.
Anthony on the charge, onto his right foot, fires the shot, deflected, and it's
Sawyer hits it in for 3. Lonto for 2-0.
Pulls it back, it comes to Enzo Fernandez.
Ekitike racing through on goal, terrific pace. Oh, what a finish! Lays it to the edge of the box, Xhaka deflected, and in.
Xerxes left on edge of the area, the angle is tight,
but he squeezed it in. Headed by Bowen. Oh, what a goal!
Who doesn't love a round of midweek Premier League games?
Indeed, and all 10 games this week are available on the TalkSport network, whether that is on TalkSport, TalkSport 2 or the app. So if you haven't got the TalkSport app, download it and then you'll be able to go to the match centre and find the match that you want to listen into. But there are 3 games coming your way tomorrow: Fulham, Manchester City, Bournemouth, Everton and Newcastle, Tottenham. That last one is the one live here on TalkSport. But what I wanted to focus on with you, Darren,
I was just downloading TalkSport app.
Thank you. Don't know why I didn't already have it. We're going to talk about Fulham, Man City, in the sense that I want to get Bernd Leno's thoughts. This is what he said. Speaking to TalkSport ahead of the game against Manchester City, which is on TalkSport 2 for you, he admitted they might not be able to keep hold of their manager, Marco Silva.
Absolutely brilliant what he has done to the Fulham club, and I think everyone has to appreciate him, like every fan, what he's doing here. And you can see the hunger, the fire he has every day here, because whenever you switch off or you relax a little bit, he's in your neck. He's and everything, and I think that shows his mentality, his ambition, and all that stuff. He's a fantastic manager, and unfortunately, at some point, he will leave, because I'm pretty sure that he will be in one of the biggest clubs in the world, because he deserves it. And yeah, but as I said, everyone at Fulham Football Club is so happy that he's here, and yeah, hopefully he will stay here for even longer.
Okay, so he says he will leave. He expects that at some point, and that he'll manage a big club.
I always love those interviews where they start off by saying he's going to leave, but I hope he stays.
Yeah. Probably getting the glare from the press officer.
Absolutely. What are you doing? Yeah. I think, as far as Silva's concerned, he's been mentioned in dispatches with a lot of big jobs in English football, and the reasons for that is because of his success at being able to bring together young men and mould good teams from the sum of the parts. He's done that for a while at Fulham, had them punching above their weight. But this season they've run out of steam. They haven't really invested as much as he would have liked. He's had clubs where there has been a higher level investment before, obviously with Everton when they first came into the big money under their previous regime, but obviously that money wasn't spent particularly wisely, and as I understand it, he didn't have too much of a hand in the spending of that money either. But I think that there will be other clubs who are going through difficult moments right now who will be looking through the notebook and seeing the name Marco Silva and thinking, he's our guy.
Yeah, it has been a difficult summer. You mentioned there he was very vocal about the lack of investment as well, like Oliver Glasner was at Crystal Palace. And they host Manchester City on Tuesday, as I was saying, on TalkSport 2. The big game is Newcastle against Tottenham, and all eyes will be on Thomas Frank after what's been a very difficult spell for them. But news emanating out of Newcastle today is that Yohan Wissa has not been selected for the Democratic Republic of Congo for AFCON, because they're aware that he needs to work on all his fitness issues with Newcastle, for example, which is a boost for Eddie Howe, because it does mean, and he hopes, I'm sure, that he'll be able to use him sooner rather than later. Devastating for Wissa, because I know how much he loves playing for his country. I know how much he would have wanted to be in part of the AFCON in Morocco.
I know people who know him who've talked about how unhappy he is at not being ready in time. That said, as far as Newcastle are concerned, they've invested a lot of money in him. As the season gets into a tough run of fixtures, they want him available. They want to have him play some part in taking a load of Voltemada, who has had, for my money, a really good start to the season.
Yeah.
And when you consider that the summer ended with Newcastle sore, devastated at the loss of having to surrender, really, Isak to Liverpool because Isak no longer wanted to play for them, I actually think Voltemada coming in and having the impact that he has scored on his debut, scored good goals, crucial goals since then, I think it's been really strong. And this is a fixture for Newcastle. They're at home, the tails are up, Spurs are wounded, Animals. There's this thing about them being better away from home than they have been at home. I don't even think away from home now they're all that. And I think that because of that fracture between the players and the fans, the confidence might be fragile enough for Newcastle to take advantage.
Then on Wednesday, there are a number of games to look forward to. Our main game is Arsenal against Brentford, then a London derby. But you can also tune into Liverpool against Sunderland on TalkSport 2, for example. And then Thursday, we've got Manchester United against West Ham, which is live here on TalkSport. I just want to quickly sum up the table as it stands. Because looking at it, and if you just look at the top half, for example, even 11th, because that's where Bournemouth are level on points with Brentford, they're on 19, which means they're both 5 off the top 4. Have you ever known the league to be as tight as it sort of feels it is?
No, I haven't, and there's different ways to interpret it. On the one hand, you could say, well, it's all much of a muchness. On the other, you could say there are 1 or 2 teams in transition. But you could also say the level of investment now means that the mid-ranking teams, or the teams that you would perhaps write off, are able to punch their weight. The big teams can't hog all the players, and there has been so much good work done at so many academies, so many young players who are saying, look, I'm not going to sit on the bench anymore, I'm going to go and get regular first team football elsewhere, and that is strengthening the sides underneath the top 6, top 4 certainly. Listen, as we started the show by saying, I wouldn't call the winner of the league now, I wouldn't call the top 4. There are probably 1 or 2 teams I would say I think will be in the top 4. But I think it's wide open, and that's why this league is the best in the world.
So exciting. By the way, Birmingham did beat Watford by 2-1, meaning they move up to 8th, 1 point and 1 place below the playoff positions. Danny, anything to say? No, speechless. Darren, it's been fun. Thank you very much.
No worries,
Danny, wherever he is, he had to leave early. On the way next, indeed, it's the Sports Bar. Jamie O'Hara, Jason Cundy coming your way. Give them a call, 03717 223344.